Fulham in a London derby, East versus West, and it's a lovely day for football, I've got to say. It's like 14-15 degrees, the sun's out, pitch looks absolutely immaculate. They're about to fire up the bubble machines. We're about to see the players come onto the surface here for this Premier League Sunday that you've got here on 5 Sports Extra. With me is Jobi McAnuff, and Jobi, it's a kind of day where you wish you were still playing.
Oh, absolutely. Beautiful pitch, the weather's fantastic. Not quite sure it's short sleeve weather that you've got on, John, but obviously you're a little bit more used to it than me.
The coat will be going back on. Don't you worry about that. The coat will be going back on. Let me run you through the team news then here, and it is as follows. So 3 changes for West Ham from that game against Bayer Leverkusen the other night. Zuma, Souček and Cresswell out. Alvarez back from suspension. Ings, who's likely to play just in behind Antonio, I would have thought. Now Guerd is back. No Areola still. He's still out injured. And 1 change for Fulham. Tom Kearney out and Sasa Lukic comes in. It's massive, this, for West Ham. Maybe not for Fulham, but it's a London derby, they'll be up for it. But for West Ham, after the defeat to Leverkusen, this represents a massive chance for them to keep pressure up to try and finish top 7.
Yeah, that is really the aim, and I think the big challenge, and it has been the last few years, is how they react to playing in midweek. And it's a squad that isn't blessed with great depth. It is the same players more times than not having to go out there and churn out the minutes. So be really interested to see how that pans out today from an energy level point of view. Fulham should be the fresher team. Seen a fair bit of them recently. Very, very inconsistent, I've got to say. Not quite sure what you're going to get, but definitely in terms of what's at stake between now and the end of the season, you would have to imagine West Ham have got a little bit more to play for.
Bubbles fill the air as they come out to I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles. West Ham United, they line up and go down the handshakes as West Ham are in their traditional claret and blue and Fulham in their home kit of white, black and white with the red trim on the shoulder. So it is big for West Ham. How about this lineup? Because I know a lot of West Ham fans would be like, concentrate on Leverkusen, let's try and beat them on Thursday, let's rest Ward, Prowse, Antonio. All these players have got so many minutes in their legs. Or does David Moyes do a bit of both? He's rested Souček when he needed it, I would have thought. He's rested Zuma likewise. I think this is one of his more difficult, probably, team selections of the season. What do you think of what he's done?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, John. It is a bit of a balancing act at the moment. I don't think he can change too much in terms of trying to keep people fresh for Thursday, because I think a couple more changes, they're just going to be too weak. You know, they are players that, again, haven't had fantastic seasons, really, and I think he has really had to go with what he would call his first sort of 11-12 players for the majority of the season, because he's certainly a manager who likes to know what he's going to get when that whistle goes, and those players in the main have had a very consistent season.
Alvarez coming back is a big bonus for them, back from suspension, and he's gone with Danny Ings, who's likely, I guess, to play somewhere in like a number 10, I guess.
Yeah, again, it'd be really interesting to see where he actually lines up, whether it's him out wide and Paquetá maybe a little bit more central, pulling the strings, trying to get in those little pockets. But again, Alvarez is a big one for me. We talk about that energy. Obviously didn't play in that game in midweek, so should be coming in nice and fresh, middle of the pitch. Great protection to that back 4, but also will go and get on the ball and try and make them play as well. So I think him coming back should be a real key addition to the team today.
And Fulham inconsistent is perfect, because this fixture earlier in the season was 5-0 Fulham. At times, especially at home, they've looked like world beaters. They've won at Manchester United this season, but away from home they've been lacking, haven't they? Only 2 wins all season away from home. They just haven't been able to replicate what they've done at Craven Cottage away from home.
No, and again, they're a team that are blessed with really good technical players. Willian, obviously, Andreas Pereira as well. Again, maybe just in that attempt to really want to keep the ball and play good football, they are just a little bit open at times, and away from home you've got to be so secure. There are times you've just got to ride out moments in the game, and they haven't really been able to do that, as their array record shows. As you say, only 2 wins in 16 games this season has really been the issue for them.
We're about to kick off here, and we'll talk about Rodrigo Muniz in just a moment, because that is some story. 8 goals this year and the Premier League Player of the Month for March, as they start the Bubble song here. The Bubble machine still pumping them out high into the air. I'm always amazed, and Jobi mentioned this to me earlier on, how late people take their seats here at the London Stadium. Honestly, about 10 minutes ago it was empty.
Well, they obviously got very good bars on the concourses, I've got to say, because as you say, I was a bit fearful, but as they have done all season, absolutely packing this venue out. The attendance here have been magnificent.
The players take the knee to signify there's no room for racism in football and in society. And here we go, we're away, and West Ham kicking from left to right as I look at it, float a little ball down the right hand side, and it's intercepted by Fulham in the left back spot with Anthony Robinson. But West Ham have got possession back. They're on the left hand side. Oh, that's a spicy little bit of skill early on from Paquetá, and West Ham are in possession midway inside the Fulham half on the left hand side. It was a little scoop over the defender, and they have a throw in on the far side in the sunlight.
Well, what a player Paquetá is. I mean, he just gets the ball there and just literally flicks it up over one of the Fulham players' heads there. He's the man. They've got to get him the ball. He's the one that can be effective. At this moment in time, does look like he's actually lining up on that left hand side, as you said, John. Danny Ings maybe just going and playing off of Mikel Antonio in that number 10 position.
That is the sort of thing you do when you're 3-0 up. He's got the ball again here down the left hand side, and he's put in a left foot cross to the far post. It's gone over everyone, but scurrying away to pick it up is Kudus, and he's going to cross left footed to the far post towards Antonio, and Fulham let the ball go, and it's out for a goal kick.
I think that's the kind of thing you do when you're playing football in the park with your mates, and to see him doing it in a Premier League game. And again, that's one thing I love about him, that freedom he plays with, the fact that he just wants to go and get on the ball and make things happen. And of course with Kudus on the other side today, real threat in those wide areas. It's just about how West Ham can get them on the ball and get them to be effective from an offensive point of view.
West Ham 0, Fulham 0, and Fulham going to play out from the back with Leno in goal, and across the back from right to left, Castagna, Adrabayo, Bassi and Robinson as the ball's played down the left hand side. It's a nice little piece of skill, and a foul there from Kudus on Pereira, and it'll be a free kick to Fulham just inside the West Ham half on the left hand side. So Lukic and Paulina will hold, and then ahead of them as the ball's played forward from the free kick will be Jobi, Pereira and Willian, and then up front Rodrigo Muniz. And West Ham have got possession back deep in their own half with Fabianski in goal. Still no Areola for them, he's still injured. He's wearing the captain's armband, 38 now, Fabianski. Played well against Leverkusen, couldn't prevent those 2 late goals in the Europa League on Thursday in that 2-0 defeat for West Ham, and that looked like a foul on Kudus, and it was given by Stuart Atwell, who is your referee today here for this game. And West Ham have a free kick 5 yards inside the Fulham half on the right hand side. Back four, Sofal Mavropanos, who came off what looked like with an injury on Thursday night, but he's okay, and he starts with Aguerd and Emerson, the back four. James Ward-Prowse plays, Alvarez back from suspension, as I said, then Kudus right, Paquetá left, and then Ings behind Antonio, and they are your 2 lineups with West Ham in possession 10 yards inside the Fulham half. Nice ball, Sofal's in here, Sofal with a chance, now it's skied over the bar by Antonio. What a miss that is. Sofal had done well. I thought he'd missed his opportunity, should have hit it earlier. The keeper Leno made a save, and then, well, it's a horrible miss from Antonio. I hate watching that back. Jobi?
Well, that has to go down as one of the misses of the season. Sofal does so well, drives inside, gets to around the 6-yard box. Leno bats it back out, but only straight to Mikel Antonio. He's no more than 7 yards out. The goal is gaping, and he skies it over the crossbar. What an opportunity.
He has to get it over the keeper, and I think that's probably why he's hit it so hard, but that is wasteful from Antonio. 4 goals in the Premier League this season. West Ham with a massive chance early on. Here is Sofal again down the right hand side. 5 in the middle to aim for. Comes off a Fulham head. Corner for West Ham.
Yeah, been a real positive start for West Ham. We spoke about potentially that energy, but they certainly look like the team that are coming out full of it so far. Down this right hand side in particular, Sofal's had a couple of really positive moments. Anthony Robinson got a tough afternoon ahead of him, I think, having to deal with Kudus as well.
Here's Ward-Prowse, short corner, and now Kudus. And Kudus might well try one here, and it's just wide of the angle of bar and post with his left foot from the corner of the penalty area, and it flashes over the corner of bar and post, and it's behind for a goal kick to Fulham. It's all West Ham.
Yeah, Fulham half asleep, quick corner taken. James Ward-Prowse just gets on it, just lends it to Kudus, just in the corner of that 18-yard box, tries to find that far top corner, just can't quite get the ball to stay underneath the crossbar, but a really promising start so far from West Ham.
Coming up to 5 minutes gone, West Ham 0, Fulham 0 in the Premier League. Fulham's last win at West Ham was at Upton Park 2004, so a full 20 years. That was in the FA Cup. The last league win at West Ham was 23 years ago, and they've never won here at the London Stadium. West Ham 12 unbeaten versus Fulham. So it's one of those fixtures that's been kind to West Ham and to David Moyes, actually. He's only ever lost one game to Fulham in his career as manager, as the ball's drifted forward by Fulham. And Muniz can't win the header this time, and West Ham pick up the pieces with Kudus midway inside his own half. And now on the left hand side they've got a chance to clear long down the line with Emerson, the Italian, up towards Antonio. Cleared away by Fulham. Throw in West Ham, 15 yards inside the Fulham half, left hand side. How much will that be playing on his mind, that miss, when you play up the top, or you miss an early chance like that? Not that you ever did.
Well, I've got to say, I would have fancied my chances of sticking that one away, and I wasn't exactly prolific, John. But I think for Mikel Antonio, it's about then doing the next thing really well, get yourself back into the game. Yes, it will be playing on his mind, because it was a real big opportunity to get them into the lead, but I'm sure it won't faze him. He's already then been involved. The next ball up, he's occupying the two centre halves. That's what he does so well with his physicality, and that then creates space for the likes of Danny Ings behind him and those wide players that we've already mentioned. So set piece now from James Ward-Prowse in a really promising position.
Both managers are wearing exactly the same outfit, which is bizarre. They're both, it's a free kick for West Ham left hand side with a chance to cross, by the way, but both wearing black trousers, black jumpers and trainers. Free kick here, James Ward-Prowse with the whip, in it comes, great chance, far post, headed wide. It was Mavropanos who got there in the end. In fact, it came off a Fulham head, and it will be a corner for West Ham. That whip from James Ward-Prowse, so dangerous. I think someone should get on the end of this, really. Shouldn't they, a bit earlier? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a fantastic in-swinging delivery from James Ward-Prowse. Goes all the way out to that back post area. I think it's Anthony Robinson in the end. Does a really good bit of defensive cover. West Ham players were coming in. I think they were trying to get themselves onto the end of the cross. Just eluded 2 or 3 players that were in that 6-yard area.
Corner then for James Ward-Prowse to take, right-footed. It'll be an away swinger. There is 6 West Ham players jostling for position in the middle. In it comes, whipped. Oh, it's a chance of a header and a volley, side netting. Some of the crowd thought Paquetá had scored there, but left-footed. He's put it into the side netting, head in hands, goal kick Fulham. Yeah,
and again we talk about James Ward-Prowse, but his delivery is just on the money every time. An out-swinging cross. It's a Gerd who doesn't quite get the contact, falls to Paquetá on the back post, sits up really nicely for him, I've got to say, and I think he'll be a bit disappointed, just slices it away from the goal. Should really be hitting the target, but so far all West Ham United. 2 good chances for West Ham at the start of this London derby, and Fulham will play the ball out with Leno, and they're in possession left hand side with Jobi, who plays the ball down the line. In fact, it was Bassi, and header one at the back by Fulham as West Ham clear by Adrabayo, and the referee allows play to go on. It looked like a free kick for Fulham as Iwobi's in possession on the right hand side. He's put a crossfield ball into the penalty area. Chance here, it's Pereira for Fulham who scores! Left-footed mistake from West Ham, first attack from Fulham, and they have the lead. It's West Ham 0, Fulham 1. And you would not believe it, based on the balance of play in this first 8 or 9 minutes. West Ham have been so dominant, but they just get undone. A really cheap goal. I think it's Mavropanos doesn't deal with what was just really a long diagonal ball into the box. He tries to intercept it, can't quite get enough on the clearance, and Andreas Pereira runs in completely unmarked, just has a little touch around Fabianski and then puts it into an open net. But it really is such a poor goal to concede for West Ham, way too easy. Again, it's just a lofted diagonal ball into the box. Mavropanos gets it all wrong, and then Pereira very gratefully accepts what is an absolute gift at the London Stadium.
Couldn't have summed it up better myself. Fulham have a rare away lead this season, and it has, as Jobi said, been gifted to them by Mavropanos with just that heavy first touch. I wonder, did he get a shout from his goalkeeper? The communication's gone wrong somewhere.
Yeah, well, even if he did, the touch was so poor. It wasn't a clearance, it wasn't, him trying to control the ball. It was sticking a leg out and the ball almost hitting that leg, and then it just dropped into the box.
He knows he's got a player on his shoulder in that position. You've just got to concede the corner there, haven't you? You've got to put it behind.
It's a horrible position. He's running back towards his own goal. You just got to get a bit of contact on the ball, and as you say, clear it from the danger. You're not going to be able to take that ball down and start an attack from that position. It's ridiculous.
It was a nice percentage ball from Jobi, drifted in, and this is Jobi, and Fulham are on the attack here, and they've got possession about 30 yards from the West Ham goal with Jobi, who spins the ball out to the right. A little Cruyff chop from Pereira. They've got the ball in the centre of the pitch with Paulina, and there's a bit of confidence now about this Fulham team, and when they do have the wind at their tail, we know they can play. We've seen them destroy teams. West Ham 5-0 earlier in the season, and they've got a chance to maybe put a cross into the penalty area here, but that's good defending. Across went Aguerd, and it's a goal kick for West Ham. Fabianski, all in green with his yellow gloves and yellow boots, brings it out to the edge of the penalty in the edge of the 6-yard box, and this crowd is absolutely stunned after the start we've had. West Ham should arguably be 2-0 ahead, and as it is, they're 1-0 down.
Yeah, there's a lot of head scratching in the stadium at this moment in time as to how we're at this point, and it's amazing the difference a goal can make to those Fulham players. They hardly touched the ball in that first 9 minutes or so, and now you're seeing flicks and little 1-2s, and the confidence just flowing back into their game. So again, giving themselves a real difficult situation to try and turn around now, West Ham.
Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 0, and if you're looking for that game, it's over on 5 Live Sport right now with Ian Dennis, and later on we have got coverage of the Masters, and it is absolutely fantastic coverage. Mark Chapman, Ian Carter, Alistair Bruce Ball, John Murray and the team will be with you this evening for the final round to see whether it will be Scotty Scheffler or someone can make a break from in behind him to wear this year's green jacket, as West Ham are in possession on the right hand side with Kudus. Fulham have got players back in numbers here. He's on the corner of the penalty area and plays it back to Paquetá, and battling for the ball just in behind was Alvarez, but he's been dispossessed, and Fulham have possession on the right hand side with Iwobi. Midway inside his own half, decides to go back to Adebayo and then Bassi, and Fulham will bring the ball out. Fulham are 7 of 79 in Premier League London derbies. They do not win many of these, and their little pocket of fans down to my right hand side, just in front of the big screen behind the goal, many of them on their feet. This would mean a lot to them, even though in the league it does look like they're going to finish somewhere between 10th and where they are now, 13th by the looks of things. Still represent a good season, bearing in mind they lost Mitrovic, of course, in the summer, and they only got promoted the season before and finished a terrific 10th, and that's good play from Bassi. And now the ball down the line from Anthony Robinson is a really good one, and here's Muniz running into the penalty area left hand side, puts it across Pereira, just wide. Well, that was a terrific move and a terrific effort, and Pereira is still on the ground in a starfish position because he connected with it so well. It was such a good run, but it flashed wide of Fabianski's right hand post.
Yeah, lightning quick counter attack. Willian just getting in behind Soufal so easily down that left hand channel, pulls the ball back to about the penalty spot, and Andreas Pereira actually gets there and can't quite get the touch and the control that he wants to steer the ball towards goal, ends up just dragging it wide a little bit. But again, from West Ham's point of view, far too easy, allowing Willian to get into that left hand side channel.
Such a good run and such a good ball from Willian. They're playing some nice stuff here at Fulham. They've had a good rest, as you said. West Ham, after playing away in Europe this season, haven't won a game. 4 away games and then 3 draws and a defeat following those away games. And of course they're at Leverkusen in the week. They have started the game really well, but obviously have now conceded 2 really big chances to Fulham, and they've taken one of them. Fabianski's in possession, gets the back pass from Aguirre. And now they're in possession in the left back spot with Emerson, who rolls it down the line, and West Ham breaking down the left with Antonio. Missed that big chance early on. He's running towards the edge of the penalty area. Down the left he goes, puts in a cross, blocked. Is it going to go out? It has gone out. It's a corner for West Ham United.
Yeah, real good defending from Castagna there. Mikel Antonio trying to run him down the outside, nice and positive. Wants to try and get across him with that left foot, but Castagna really stood up to the task, gets a good block on it. But another set piece situation for West Ham, who have looked threatening so far with that Ward-Prowse delivery.
Ward-Prowse bounces the ball once and then pops it down, plants his left foot next to the ball with his white boots on, and up he comes to take this corner, and it comes, lovely delivery, flicks off a Fulham head, bounces through the penalty area towards the corner flag on the far side, picked up by Kudus, who swings it in left-footed, header towards goal, but it bounces once and straight into the arms of Bernd Leno, who comes sprinting out of his penalty area, or sprinting towards the edge of his penalty area I should say, and then lays the ball straight into the path of the midfielder running through the middle there, into the feet of I think it was Jobi, and it's come to nothing, but Fulham have possession still on the halfway line on the right hand side with Castagna, and now Willian, who just drifts 10 yards into the West Ham half. Fulham still in possession. Now they're 30 yards from the West Ham goal. They've got a lot of room, and here's Pereira, the goal scorer. Jinx round 1 challenge, but Ward-Prowse did enough, and West Ham clear, but there's no one up there, and it's easy. Oh, but he's given away by Adrabayo, and Kudus plays the ball into the feet of Paquetá, who turns and brings the ball forward now, midway inside the Fulham half, outside of the foot, tries to play a pass through towards Antonio, who's playing on the left at the moment, with Kudus through the middle, and he's got it now, Antonio, with his luminous yellow boots. Run towards the corner of the penalty area, tries to play a little reverse pass through towards Emerson. It's intercepted by Fulham and cleared away up to halfway, and Muniz with good hold-up play, and then finds Willian, and there's a mistake from West Ham, and Willian's running through the middle on his own. He has got 4 West Ham defenders ahead of him. Willian on his right foot, chops once, good dummy that, but he couldn't get it out from under his feet to hit it. I think he would have struck it if he had got it out from under his feet. They will try one now. Comfortable for Fabianski. Low down to his right-hand side. It was Paulina who found himself in a little pocket of space there, 25 yards out. But the West Ham keeper was able to make a comfortable save.
Yeah, been a real open 5 minutes or so. Obviously West Ham trying to get themselves back in the game, but leaving gaps for Fulham on the counter-attack.
Good challenge from Massey. Headed forward towards Willian. Ward-Prowse finds Paquetá, 3 in the penalty area. In comes the cross. Good header won by Adrabayo. Sofal, right-hand side, plays the ball inside the West Ham right back, level with the 18-yard box. Little 1-2 with Alvarez, and West Ham have possession in the centre circle with Aguirre. Every West Ham player apart from Fabianski in the Fulham half. Little chip ball forward looking for Antonio. Massey wins the header for Fulham. Alvarez picks up the ball with a nice first touch, plays it out to the left hand side to Paquetá, edge of the penalty area, corner of the penalty area on the left. Might well be a shot from distance from Alvarez, but no, he faked it, chopped inside and works it out to the left to Emerson to Alvarez. Good build-up play this from West Ham, and now Ward-Prowse might fancy striking one, and does. Made a good connection, low but comfortably into the midriff of Leno, who just falls on the ball.
Yeah, comfortable save in the end, but really good play from West Ham. Actually had a really good spell on the ball, were patient with it, worked it from the right hand side over to the left, and then actually out to Ward-Prowse just outside the penalty area. Gets a decent strike on it, clean enough, but was never really going to test Leno, who, as you say, dealt with it extremely comfortably.
West Ham in possession. Here's Antonio. Oh, just slightly heavy touch, and Adrabayo was able to get there and intercept and clear the ball long and deep for Muniz, who is a real handful up there, Muniz. And I said we were going to talk about him. The Premier League Player of the Month for March. He's in possession now on the left. Looked like maybe a strong challenge. I thought that was a free kick, and the referee and the assistant have given it, and Fulham have a free kick midway inside the West Ham half on the right hand touchline, with opportunity maybe to cross into the penalty area. 8 goals this year. Only Phil Foden and someone else has got more than him, Ollie Watkins, this year. It's been an incredible story, because it's not like they've just signed him and he's hit the ground running. They've signed him 3 seasons ago. He was on loan at Borough last season. They thought it was most Fulham fans would be thinking, well, we've wasted money on him, and then comes into the team, scores 8 goals. Incredible.
Yeah, he's had a fantastic turnaround, really. It has been a turnaround, because as you say, I've seen him for the last few years in the Championship. Has been an understudy to Mitrovic, which is difficult when you're not getting regular minutes and able to get a routine. But in terms of the goals, you can just see the confidence now, the finishing. He's taken them so much more naturally than he had done previously.
Free kick then for Fulham, whipped in it comes. Adrabayo had a free header there, but he kind of ducked underneath it. Fulham still in possession on the left hand side with Robinson midway inside the West Ham half. I don't know if I'm being harsh on Adrabayo there, but it looked like he had so much time and just missed the header, as Pereira's in possession on the halfway line, and he's going to go back to his goalkeeper. He had a good sight of that, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a great delivery into a really dangerous area, and as you say, you just wanted him to go and really attack it, and he didn't seem to do that. It was a little bit of a hesitation, doesn't quite commit to it, and in the end it just flies over his head. But again, going back to Muniz, when you are an understudy, and you know that your minutes are always going to be limited. He played the odd game. Mitrovic was either injured or was out the team, and then you almost know you're going to be out as soon as he comes back. And obviously, in terms of a goal return for Mitrovic, he's always going to be your number one striker. So I think it's just taken a while for Muniz to really take that mantle on and claim that spot, because obviously they bring in Broha, and you're thinking, right, he's going to be the go-to choice, and it maybe gives him a little bit of a incentive to get himself going. But since he's got that first goal, he really hasn't stopped, has he? He's been brilliant. Yeah,
Broha on the bench for Fulham today. Well, they have got options there. Jimenez, Kearney, Broja, Traore's pace as well, and they lead 1-0 here at the London Stadium, and it's with Pereira the goal scorer. He's 15 yards inside the West Ham half. Out on the right, it's with Jobi. They've looked good so far, Fulham. Since the goal, it's given them confidence. They're in possession with Pereira again, who puts in a low ball, intercepted. West Ham clear away. Not fully though, and Fulham will get the ball back here, will they? Or is that a free kick? Yeah, it's a free kick to West Ham, left-hand side, about 20 yards inside West Ham's half, left-hand touchline.
Yeah, I just think after that goal, West Ham just lost their shape a little bit in the forward areas, what they did so well to start the game. They had that width with Paquetá on the left-hand side, Kudus on the right, but they just went a little bit off script. I think it allowed Fulham back into the game and enabled them to get a real rhythm, which they didn't have in that first spell before the goal. And now they are looking so confident. They're rolling the ball around, everybody wants it, and again, this does happen. That confidence comes flowing through, and all of a sudden players that didn't want the ball now are showing for it and happy to take it. That's a really good challenge in midfield as well, and Willian comes running away, but Alvarez snaps back at him. He does really well. He should have the legs, because obviously he's served the suspension and has had a rest, unlike some of these players. But these two squads as well, they're not old by any means, but these are two of the oldest starting lineups that you're likely to see in the Premier League. You compare this to an Arsenal, there's a lot of these fellas out there in their 30s, including this man Antonio, who's in possession, who's 34, the Jamaican. Little chip ball forward and towards Kudus, but it's just offside. Flag went up straight away. What are you saying about players in their 30s, John? You do know I went to 39, don't you? I do know that. And I do know you can do it, but I'm saying these are two quite, for football squads. Listen, I'm absolutely with you in terms of once you do get to 30, 31, it's the recovery, that is the difficult thing. And when you have got games back to back, as West Ham have done with the European exploits, it definitely does take its toll. That extra little bit of freshness, that zip, maybe just missing slightly. And listen, when you're playing in the best league in the world, it really can have an impact in games. West Ham trying to win the ball on the edge of the Fulham penalty area, but Fulham have played out from the back well and found Jobi. Now it's with Willian on the left-hand side. Willian moving forward. Little chip ball forward looking for Muniz. West Ham intercepts. Sofal has the ball by the corner flag on the right, and he slices his clearance. The Fulham fans like that, and it's out for a throw-in to Fulham
edge of the 18-yard box. It's West Ham 0, Fulham 1. Just one defeat in 16 at home, West Ham. They have been really good here at the London Stadium. Antonio, though, with that miss. How often do we say it, that you see a miss like that early on in the game? And it's a cliche, isn't it? But you go, well, I hope they don't, rue that miss. Will it cost them? It's amazing the amount of times, though, that it seems to.
Yeah, I think when you have two teams that are relatively evenly matched that we have got here today, I mean, I do recall watching Mo Salah miss a bucket full recently in the game versus Brighton. You do feel, right, they'll still get more, whereas this game, because it is, really tightly fought at the moment, you do feel those big moments are going to be absolutely essential in terms of who actually goes and gets that result. And listen, it was an absolute clear as you like opportunity for Mikel Antonio, and he didn't quite execute it as he would have liked. Of course, just got underneath it. Like you said, the keeper was there. Maybe that just made in his mind feel like he's got to get a bit of height on it, but way too much, and obviously sailing over the crossbar.
Fulham are in possession, comfortable possession, deep in their own half. I did see a worse one recently, though. I'm sorry, Josh Windass, who was playing for Sheffield Wednesday at QPR 2 weeks ago. You've not seen it, have you? You just shook your head, not seen it, but it was extraordinary. That's the only word I've got for it. It was one of those where it looks more difficult to miss than score. You'll have to have a look at it. Well, I'll show you at half time. Sorry, Josh Windass. I know you were, but you did get the win on the day, so it didn't matter in the end. You won 2-0. As Willian's in possession, out to Anthony Robinson. Nice little pass back into the feet of Willian, who twists one way and then the other. 3 West Ham players around him at the moment. Willian. Oh, this is really good play. What a run this is from Willian, the Brazilian, into the penalty area. Eventually, he is challenged. He's one of those at 35 years of age. He doesn't play like he's 35. And he's gone down clutching his face here, Willian. He thinks he got a little elbow. And there's Fulham substitutes have gone up to him. He's off the pitch, so play can go on. Well, he's off the pitch. And that's why you've just heard the West Ham fans react like that, because he's not on the field of play. But it will be a drop ball at some stage.
Yeah, and I've got to say, it doesn't look like it's anything near serious. Maybe gets caught in the face. I'm not quite sure, but it's not one where he's down and not moving at all. And I think for me, the West Ham fans obviously frustrated. He's dribbling with the ball in terms of the situation, gets into the box, brilliant feet, just gets crowded out a little bit, then tries to go and win it back. And Alvarez, actually, it's a little kick, but nothing too serious at all. And I think the West Ham fans would have liked to have seen their team really take the initiative and get themselves up the pitch there.
He's got a little kick on his Achilles as he's gone down, and then I think he's fallen on a water bottle on his elbow. I'd have to watch it one more time.
Yeah, pretty soft plastic one, I've got to
mate,
say.
I'm just saying what I can see. That he's clutching his elbow. He's back up now, though, and he will be coming on. He's still holding his right elbow from where he fell. But you can see why the West Ham fans maybe were frustrated with the game having to be stopped, because they're 1-0 down. And we've had 27 minutes at the London Stadium. You've got 5 Sports Extra from the BBC. And I'm with Jobi McAnuff as the ball is played from left to right. That's beautiful from James Ward-Prowse to Sofal. Now Antonio's got not many options in the middle. 2 on the edge of the box. Sofal with a cross into the penalty area. Will they be able to pick up the second ball here? They can, with Paquetá, who strikes it against the legs of the Fulham midfield. He came out to block, and now will Fulham break here? They have looked dangerous. Muniz trying to hold the ball up. West Ham have got possession back, and they bring the ball forward. Into the penalty area it goes, towards Antonio, cleared away by Fulham again, only as far as James Ward-Prowse, centre of the pitch, midway inside the Fulham half. Plays it out onto the left to Emerson, who's got a chance to cross. Bit static in the middle at the moment, West Ham, and that ball has taken a little deflection off a Fulham player, and Fulham have possession with Jobi in the right back spot, and his clearance comes off the legs of James Ward-Prowse. It's going to be a throw into Fulham.
Yeah, much better spell last 2 or 3 minutes there for West Ham. First bit of sustained pressure they've had for a little while, and again Sofal down that right hand side has been a real good outlet. I don't think they've gone to him enough in the last sort of 15 minutes or so, but really good delivery into the box. But they only had one player going to attack that cross. They really have to commit more to it in order to get themselves back in this game.
Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 1. Eze has scored for Palace. Tyrick Mitchell with the assist. Well, that would be a turn-up. West Ham in possession. And if you want that game, by the way, it's over on 5 Live with Ian Dennis. As West Ham are in possession just a few yards inside their own half, trailing by a goal to nil. East versus West in London, as that straight ball through the middle is straight to Leno, and you can hear the frustration around the London Stadium on this sunny Sunday afternoon. Not felt the need to put the coat on yet. Spring's here. That's it. Cricket season starts in 2 weeks' time for me, Jobi. Not that it's really felt like it. It's going to still pretty wet up at the ground at the moment. As Fulham in possession. Pereira, Willian. This is nice. He's got some room to run into as well, Willian, down the left-hand side. He's got Anthony Robinson on his outside. He's found the American. In comes a low cross. West Ham deal with the first ball, then Pereira. And Fabianski had to drop quickly to his left to smother the ball. It was a really good strike from Pereira, and another good little look for Fulham.
Yeah, really good opportunity, but again, a little bit laboured for me, a bit passive defensively. West Ham United, the ball gets worked again down that left-hand side, gets played into the box. Pereira's just on the edge of the 18-yard box. The ball falls to him, and again, a good strike, clean, but just doesn't quite get the power or the height on it to test Fabianski. But he's got in those positions 2 or 3 times already in this first half. Of course, his goal, but another couple of opportunities. It's something West Ham have to be really aware of, because he does time his runs ever so well, arriving late, getting onto things on the edge of the box.
If you're looking for the cricket, you can find it on the BBC Sport website, the Surrey Somerset, and we'll pick up here on 5 Sports Extra at the end of the game here. And of course, we've got the commentary of Arsenal versus Aston Villa on 5 Live later, and then the Masters, as West Ham are in possession on the left-hand side. It's with Antonio. He's got 2 in the middle. He's shielding the ball. He's been forced backwards there, but here comes a first-time cross and an attempted overhead kick. Sofal with a chance, and he's flashed it wide on the half volley. That was a good look as well from Sofal, and he is frustrated. He smacks his palms against his thighs, and it's a goal kick for Fulham.
Yeah, and apart from that Mikel Antonio chance, he's actually probably looked the man most likely, Sofal, to open the deadlock. Had a chance in the first half. This time they work it well. Cross comes in from the left-hand side. Kudus tries a really acrobatic overhead kick, get nothing on it. Falls at the back post to Sofal. Again, a bit of a slash. The ball sits up for him. Tries to volley it, just doesn't quite get over it, and then ends up slicing it wide of the goal. But another good moment for West Ham United.
That was their 7th effort at goal in the game so far, West Ham. 1 blocked, 2 on target so far. They've won a free kick which they've taken quickly. Kudus was fouled and then took it into Alvarez, and now James Ward-Prowse. Now they've got it level with the penalty area on the left, looking for opening. Just 2-touch football at the moment from West Ham. We've got a line of 5 in the penalty area. In comes the cross, flicks off a Fulham head. Kudus picks it up, left-hand side. Oh, has it overhit that pass? Looking for Emerson. He keeps it in though, Emerson, by the byline. Now shifts the ball back, and standing on the ball is Paquetá. And then he's challenged and cleared away by Fulham, out for a throw-in to West Ham United on the left-hand side. Paquetá, the Brazilian, 4 goals, 6 assists this season so far. Always looks $1 million on the ball. As here's Ward-Prowse into the feet of Paquetá again. That's nice play. West Ham in possession with Danny Ings. Now back to Ward-Prowse again. This is patient build-up from West Ham United. This is a huge game for them to maintain their hopes of trying to finish up there in the top 6. They'll go 6th if they win this, West Ham. They trail 1-0, and Fulham have cleared away, and that's really good play from Muniz, who finds Iwobi on the right-hand side, on the halfway line. Castagna goes on the overlap. Infield to Lukic, the Serbian. Roll to Massi, just 5 yards inside his own half, and now Robinson. And now Fulham's turn for a little bit of possession to keep the ball. And they're suddenly the ones with all the players in the forward positions.
Yeah, really good play. We've spoken about Muniz's goal impact that he's had of late, but that hold-up play, being able to bring players into the game, has been fantastic as well. We've seen it on numerous occasions already today. He's absolutely bounced Agerd earlier on.
Good challenge from Willian. Fulham in possession on the left-hand side now with Robinson. Robinson to Pereira. Pereira's got some space. In it comes in towards Muniz, cleared away by West Ham. Another good opportunity. They've still got a chance here. Here comes the curler, and it's wide from Paulina. And they do look a threat, Fulham, whenever they come forward.
Yeah, in and around that 18-yard box for West Ham. They just don't seem to be able to get out and engage. A little bit of a lack of intensity at times. Fulham really popping it around. Pereira again breaking into the box this time, takes his touch in, tries to get a shot off with his left foot, gets blocked, comes back out to the edge of the box, and again I think it's Paulina who's just trying to bend it into that far corner. Can't quite get enough on it to bring it into that far post, but just at the moment when Fulham do get in and around that penalty box, there's just a real sharpness to their play and a bit of a labouring nature to the way that West Ham are defending.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. West Ham in possession again, and there's a bit of a hush around London Stadium at the moment. These fans are nervous. They know that it's going to be an uphill task to try and overcome a 2-goal deficit against the Bundesliga leaders Leverkusen. There's Paquetá's in possession running forward, and the referee then gives the free kick very late. Must have got a word in his earpiece there, Stuart Atwell. And he's going to go and talk to his assistant here, who thinks maybe he's seen something after the ball here. Jobi, did you see?
Yeah, there's a definite coming together. I think initially he thought it was probably a natural one, and I think he was trying to let play go on. And I think because we had a few seconds elapse and it looked as though we were going to get the game to continue, then he blows up and pulls it back. There is obviously frustration here from those West Ham United fans, because it seems as though maybe he's had a little bit of information, as you say, after the incident, and it wasn't his initial gut reaction to make the first call.
Well, we're just watching the replay of it now. Well, there's very little in that for me.
No, it's a shoulder to shoulder, wasn't it, really? Paulina going into it with Danny Ings, and listen, sometimes when a player comes off worse and falls to the ground, the instinct from an official might be to feel that the other player was the aggressor or made a foul. That wasn't the case there. It was a genuine 50-50, shoulder to shoulder. Paulina has come off worse, but it definitely wasn't a foul for me.
Yeah, Ings has just caught him as they've both gone for the ball at the same time. As Jobi says there, shoulder to shoulder. He's just caught him with his boot on his shin, and he's gone down. So that was all a bit dramatic, to be honest, for the situation that we were in, as Massey clears long for Fulham, high towards Muniz, who's trying to make a nuisance of himself, but Aguerd, the Moroccan, is there. Fulham have the ball back. Or has he given high feet? He has given high feet against Anthony Robinson, who doesn't like that, the American, and it's a free kick for West Ham midway inside their own half.
Yeah, I think that one he does get spot on, to be fair. Just a little bit late, Anthony Robinson. The ball bouncing up really, really high. He's gone in to try and win the ball. He actually does, but it's his follow through that goes into Sofout.
Pereira, midway inside the West Ham half. Nice turn from him. He's looked really bright, the former Manchester United midfielder, early in this game, with his blonde hair and his yellow boots. Massey, with his plaits bouncing around his shoulders, plays the ball square to Adrabayo. And now on the right, Jobi. Nice football again from Fulham. They've still got possession on the edge of the area. Back to Pereira, 25 yards from goal. Now Jobi, 3 in the middle, waiting for a cross, Muniz. And now it's with Willian. He's got space on the angle. Saved. Comes off Muniz again. Oh, big chances for Fulham. Maybe should have scored in that attack.
Yeah, I think definitely the one for Willian. The ball ends up coming back out to him. For me, he's got to hit it first time. Takes a touch, drives inside. Fabianski is low. It's at him. He gets a good block on it. Make sure it goes out for a corner, but another really dangerous situation. Pereira really is running the show, isn't he? He's getting on the ball in that number 10 position, but he doesn't just stay there. He does make those runs into the box as well.
Corner for Fulham on the left hand side, and it comes, and a header goes down, and Fabianski has to make a really sharp save to his left. I thought Fulham had scored there as he scurries towards the edge of his penalty area, and this applause is for 38-year-old number 38 Dylan Tombides. 1994 to 2014 is the applause going around the stadium. Would have been 38 as Muniz puts in a shot right-footed, and Fabianski makes the save low down to his right hand side. and it's bowled out over the halfway line, and Fulham are backtracking now as West Ham are in possession. 10 yards inside the Fulham half, ball chipped forward. Fulham perhaps should be 2 ahead here. We've had a few really good chances in the last few moments as Kudus brings it down. Edge of the penalty area for West Ham. Really nice feet from the Ghanaian. Puts in a shot left-footed. It cannons up in the air. Edge of the box. Jobi's there, and he gets it back to Castagna, who clears long towards Moniz, who wins a lot of headers. He's winning like 3.5 headers a game or something on average. And Paquetá's in possession for West Ham. Tries to toe poke a little ball forward, and he's lost it. And Willian's got loads of space, runs into the West Ham half. He's got runners ahead of him. He's underhit the pass slightly, but it still finds Pereira in towards Moniz, and Fabianski comes, reads the danger really well, and flying into the air makes a two-handed catch.
Yeah, and Fulham at the moment just seemingly happy to soak up a little bit of pressure. West Ham trying to commit bodies forward, and as they do that, they're countering so effectively, so smoothly. Ball gets played out wide, cross comes in, but Fabianski does really well to read it and claim it and gets West Ham on the way again.
Kudus puts in a cross, header for Ings, saved straight into the arms of Leno. It was a good idea, nice cross, and he just used the pace of the ball, Ings, but it just flew straight into the arms of the German goalkeeper. And Fulham still lead by 1-0. We've got 5 minutes plus stoppage time to half time.
Yeah, difficult opportunity that was, I've got to say, for Danny Ings. The ball's coming in from this right hand side, and in swinging cross. He's already this side in front of the post, so for him to really get the contact and direction was a difficult header for him to really make anything of it. Again though, for me, with West Ham, they've just got to be really careful. Yes, they've got to get back in the game, but it's how they do that. You know, I think those fullbacks that are being aggressive so far, in particular on this right hand side, committing himself, but then they're leaving a massive channel for Willian to go and get into, and he has exploited it at times. Fabianski's
made 6 saves already in 41 minutes, which tells a story of how he's made some good saves actually. Fabianski, some sharp saves. At 38, his reflexes are still really, really good. Played well in the week, and he'll play again against Leverkusen. They'll give Areola a bit longer to recover, but it's been a better game than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to be honest, it's been a super game of football for the neutral so far, and there'll be plenty in here at the London Stadium. Saw a few half and half scarves on the way in, and West Ham are in possession, trailing by 1-0. Can they get themselves a leveller before half time? They're 8th at the moment. If they win today, 6th. And with the results from the weekend, you know, there were a couple of little slip-ups. You know, Manchester United are in that battle as that's a poor ball forward, and Fulham are going to be back in possession here with Leno and then Massey. They're up against Newcastle, who look favourites, I would say, at the moment for that 6th spot. They've still got 7th, obviously, but then Manchester United are in there as well. This is really important for them, isn't it? Yeah, because it's a huge opportunity, as you say, to really go and hunt that place down, you know, given what they've done up until this point. Newcastle, fantastic result, wasn't it, against Tottenham? So again, getting players back, looking like they're going to have a real positive end to the season. Anthony Gordon absolutely flying at the moment, and Manchester United, again, another team that performance levels have been nowhere near what they should be for a club of that size. So I think there is an opportunity for West Ham United, but it has to start today. Kudus is in possession, edge of the area, puts in a shot, deflected, will be a corner for West Ham United. Yeah, I agree with you, Jobi, because they've got this game. Fulham have only won twice away from home. It's the kind of game they'll be expected to win. They've got Palace after the Leverkusen game at Palace, and then still to play they've got Liverpool, Chelsea and Manchester City away on the final day. Luton at home, Palace away, and this against Fulham. They win those 3. I think most West Ham fans will say they've got a chance of qualifying for Europe. So this is huge, this next half of football, as James Ward-Prowse swings in across, partially cleared by Massey, only as far as Alvarez, who swings the ball out to the right hand side. Ball put back in, header from Ings over the crossbar. Again, he was kind of in the wrong spot, having to generate a lot of power. Again, it was very difficult for him to get it on target, and it's a goal kick for Fulham. Yeah, similar situation to the opportunity he had a few minutes ago. This time ball coming in again from that right hand side. James Ward-Prowse just helping it back into the penalty area. Again, Danny Ings is already
past that front post, so he's got to do all the work to try and generate the angle to try and get the ball on target. I think he probably has a bit of time to bring that one down though, but again, with the situation he finds himself in, not in fantastic form himself, maybe a little bit snatchy when those opportunities come to him at the moment.
Yeah, if he'd known what was behind him, he'd have flicked it on, because there were 3 West Ham players waiting in a row behind him. But here come Fulham again, and every time they come forward at the moment, Fulham, they look like scoring. It's with Moniz on the edge of the penalty area. Big chance here. Iwobi's got loads of space and puts it wide. On the angle, 15 yards. His head is in his hands. He probably should have hit the target there, and West Ham have a goal kick.
Definitely should have hit the target. Again, Fulham just in and around that penalty area, work it really well out to Iwobi. He's inside the penalty area on that angle. He's trying to side foot it back across the goalkeeper into that far post, but he just doesn't get the right type of contact on the ball. For me, he's just put his laces through it, try and find that far post, but he's gone for a side foot, a bit of a safe effort. Fulham have to take one of these chances. You know, we spoke about the Mikel Antonio chance first half. For me, West Ham will be going in thinking, look, we could be a lot further behind with the chances we've given up.
Ings has kept it in here. 2 minutes of added time at the end of the first half, cleared away by Fulham, who lead by a 1-0 thanks to Pereira. West Ham are in possession though, in the centre of the pitch. Kudus now finds Ings. He's not going to keep that in. No, he doesn't, and it's a goal kick for Fulham. That's just his legs, isn't it? He's not been able to get there quite. Maybe a bit of sharpness. Difficult for a player like Danny Ings. He's used to playing number 9. He's not today, and he's been in and out of the team, and he's the kind of player through his career he's relied on playing every week and then going on a run of scoring goals. He finds himself in sort of unfamiliar territory here, doesn't he, really? Yeah,
and I think his role in particular today, you know, he's a player that wants to play on the shoulder, go and get in behind, make those runs. It's something he has done incredibly well, but I think for him to be able to do that, teams that keep the ball maybe a little bit more than West Ham, so he can time those runs a little bit better. But today, playing a little bit more withdrawn, he isn't going to go and, with the greatest respect, link things up and have that awareness around him to get on the ball and get turned and play people in. So, as you say, a little bit of a strange position for him today.
West Ham are in possession inside their own half with Aguerd. Real pressure though from Pereira. He's had a terrific first half, and it's cleared away by Fabianski. Straight up in the air from Adrabayo, and West Ham have got possession on the edge of the penalty area with Ings, Emerson, Ward-Prowse, Ings, good football, Paquetá into the penalty area, Ward-Prowse, header over the crossbar, big chance. West Ham's best chance for the last 20 minutes, and it's a goal kick for Fulham.
Yeah, have to take that opportunity. It's such lovely football. Again, we've spoken about quick play, interchange. He actually starts it off, Ward-Prowse, pops it out wide, carries his run on into the box. It's a lovely little pick out from Paquetá, and again arriving onto it, he's in a good position, he can see it all the way, just guides it wide of the post where he should at the very least be hitting the target, if not scoring.
Well, I think that'll be it, and it is. Fulham lead at West Ham, a few boos and lots of empty seats towards the end of the half. It has not been so far a week to remember for West Ham United. This is a massive 45 minutes coming up in their season, Jobi McAnuff.
Yeah, they need to get themselves back in the game. I think they started so brightly, didn't they? It seemed as though there was only going to be one team that were going to take the lead. Then they go and concede a real soft goal, and they've looked a little bit sloppy around their own box defensively. I've got to say they've given up a lot of opportunities, but there has been enough, certainly from an attacking point of view, to suggest they can get back in the game. They just need to take those chances and find a little bit more quality in and around that penalty area.
I mean, there were so many chances in that half. It was such an open game with, you know, the defending wasn't of the best quality in the game, I wouldn't say. Some good goalkeeping in it, but the chance for Antonio early, that he's literally got to just get it over the keeper and get it on target, he scores, and he's put it over the crossbar from 7 or 8 yards.
Yeah, it's one of those situations you watch back and you can't actually quite believe, you know, what you see. And, you know, it seemed as though it was the simplest of opportunities. All he had to do was just almost help it into the net. He seems to have gone with too much power, got underneath the ball, goes over the crossbar, and it was a real let off. You know, it is a chance that he would absolutely be saying 9 times out of 10 he's got to stick that away. disappointed for him, and then it allowed Fulham really to get themselves back into the game. And I've got to say, once they did score, the confidence that they showed, the football, Pereira's been magnificent, Willian's been a real threat down the left hand side, playing up and into Muniz, who's held the ball up and brought players into play, and again they have looked a real threat for them.
Arguably they should have more than one goal themselves, shouldn't they, really?
Yeah, Marco Silva will be really disappointed that they're not further ahead than they are with the chances and the situations they've got themselves into. And I think particularly when you look at them away from home of late, conceding goals, so there'll be a little bit of nervousness around that dressing room, I think, and also maybe from these Fulham fans who know they haven't been as watertight as they would like, certainly on their travels of late. So that is certainly something for West Ham to try and take advantage of in the second half.
And I know we've not been watching this game, but I just wanted your thoughts on Palace leading at Liverpool at half-time through Eberechi Eze in the 14th minute. It's huge for Liverpool this next 45 as well.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about bad weeks, and you know that midweek defeat was really poor. I think not just obviously the result, but the nature of the performance really. Tried to make a few changes. We've spoken about this in terms of trying to keep the squad fresh for the run-in, but when you do make 5 or 6, it can have a knock-on effect in terms of, you know, the rhythm to the team, and it certainly looked like that in midweek. Obviously this is a game, if you're going to go and win a league title, you have to win. There's no two ways about it. I can't see Man City slipping up too much between now and the end of the season. Arsenal just look so strong, so organised, threats going forward, defensively so much better than they were last year. So this is definitely a game that Liverpool have to take 3 points in.
That game is over on 5 Live. We've got the second half of this game at the London Stadium between West Ham United, who, of course, it's probably their best chance of qualifying for Europe next season, trailing 2-0 to Leverkusen in the first leg of their Europa League tie. Can they get 6th or 7th? They're 8th as it stands. They've got this as one of their, on paper, really winnable games between now and the end of the season. They've missed some chances. Fulham have been excellent, I've got to say, not been the best in London derbies down the years, but they're performing really well here at the moment. So we've got live second half commentary from London Stadium on the way for you. And what about the golf? You've been watching the golf, Jobi? You a golf fan or not?
A very casual golf fan.
It looks nice on the TV in the background.
Augusta definitely does. I won't fancy playing now, I've got to be honest.
No. So it's the final round of the Masters, as you know, this evening. And the world number one, Scotty Scheffler, leads. He's 7 under par, 1 clear of Colin Morikawa. Catherine Downs and our commentary team are out in Augusta for us. But first, let's hear from the leader, Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, I'm proud of how I played today. It was a good fight out there. The golf course was extremely challenging. I mean, the greens were very firm, very fast, and it was extremely difficult again today. So probably looking for more of the same tomorrow.
Scotty, you had dropped a couple shots, and then you make the big eagle at 13. We saw some nice emotion there on that green. Just take us through what you were releasing there.
Yeah, well, I make the turn. I felt like I missed some opportunities around 8 and 9, and then I hit what was a decent shot into 10. It lands. Obviously I wasn't trying to land it back there by the pin, but I get a bad gust and it lands 8 feet from the pin, and it ends up in the bushes back there, and I make double. And then make another bogey there at 11, and all of a sudden I'm probably going from in the lead to a few out of the lead, and then things can happen pretty fast out there. And going to number 12, hit another good shot, and it just went over the green and hit a nice pitch, and all of a sudden I'm looking at another 7-footer for par, and I knocked that one in. And then that putt on 13 was nice because it was trickling up there towards the cup, and I didn't know whether or not it was going to get there, and it kind of just nudged right over the edge. It went in, so it was exciting, and it was nice to be able to steal a couple shots there on 13 and kind of get back in the tournament.
BBC golf correspondent Ian Carter and LPGA winner Trish Johnson alongside me after what was an exceptional day of golf yesterday. Looking forward to today's final day. Let's just reflect on Saturday. Trish, the wind on Friday, the sunshine yesterday, it made for really, really tough conditions out there yesterday.
Yeah, it really did. I think that's one of the best days golf I have ever seen at the Masters. I was just, I couldn't take my eyes off it. I don't think I've ever seen a day where so many good shots were played and so many unbelievably awful shots were played, all in the space of about half an hour. You watched Nikolai get to the 11th hole, have a look at the scoreboard, he's leading, and then just capitulate. 5 bogeys on the trot. You saw Scotty Scheffler, you think he's out of it. He's gone back from 6 to 4, but the superstar he is, obviously, he made a comeback. But there were just so many stories. DeChambeau, an amazing finish at 18 yesterday, and his mood just changed around beyond belief. It was just the best day's golf I have seen in an awful long time.
It set up a brilliant final day today. Much of the day yesterday, 4 players with a share of the lead. Only 2 rounds in the 60s, touching on those really difficult conditions. Colin Morikawa, one of those. He's already a 2-time major winner. He's not been playing his best golf, but he was impressive yesterday, Ian.
Yes, he's done nothing all season long, really, and has not been a factor in the majors in recent times either. And this was someone who very quickly in his career won 2 majors, the second of which was the Open at Royal St George's, you'll remember. And it was like going back to those times with what I thought was a really classy round of 69 yesterday. Opened up with 3 straight birdies. But then, as you've been describing, things got more and more difficult as the day went on. The greens just got faster and faster. The number of times you saw a putt that looked very good catch the edge of the hole and then accelerate off the lip and then leave these really treacherous 3, 4, 5 foot putts coming back. So to be able to hold it together and shoot in the 60s in those circumstances, I thought was very, very impressive.
Another of the players who was playing in the final group yesterday, Max Homa, also in a share of the lead for big stretches of yesterday. Steady golf from Homa. He's not out of it at 5 under par. Do you think he's got what it takes, Trish, to land his first major championship today?
Yeah, I really do. And yesterday's round from him was extraordinary in the fact that he only shot 1 over. He didn't make any birdies whatsoever. He had a lot of chances, no 2 ways about it. He left himself really difficult putts. But what I like about him is he just... The fact that he's played on Saturday and had his poor round, if you like, and he's only 2 shots behind, that to me gives him a massive chance because he's got to be thinking he's going to make some putts and some birdies tomorrow.
I was going to make that point because you made it in our commentary last night, Trish, that when you walk off after a round like that, the feeling internally is I'm due a few tomorrow.
Without a shadow of a doubt. You know, so many times you see a player shoot, 64, 65 on Saturday, and I always think to myself, unless it's Scotty Scheffler, that's tough to back up because invariably you've holed an absolute bucket load of putts. He hasn't holed a putt for about 5 hours. So he's got to be thinking tomorrow, that's every chance that he could possibly win his first major championship.
And how do you feel if you're a player like Bryson DeChambeau walking off last night after double bogeying the 15th, bogey on 16, and then holing for a birdie on the last from about 90 yards out of the green? What a way to finish yesterday.
Yeah, and the last group, I mean, Ian was describing it yesterday, and to hold that shot, I mean, his demeanour just obviously changed in the split second because he was crestfallen, let's be honest. He had totally played himself out. The duff chip, an extraordinary decision actually, Ian, we were talking about it at 15, his second shot. He was in no position to go for that.
He was blocked out by the trees down the left-hand side and the percentage play was just knock it out, give yourself a comfortable yardage in and take your medicine. Maybe you'll make a 4, but you shouldn't make anything worse than a 5. But he kind of went for it, and I half wondered whether he got that in his mind that there was a kind of bailout place down the right there. There was grandstands, there were trees there, but he did leave himself a really, really difficult third shot. He duffed it, it went into the water, and ultimately he walks off with a double bogey.
Yeah, and to be fair, he got lucky because he got a drop away from the tree, or he got it wasn't. Well, it was the tree was in the way, but he got a drop away from a TV tower, small little TV tower, because that tree would have been in his way. So he had the perfect shot in, but unfortunately he played it very amateurishly, to say the least. Made double, and then of course he went on to 3 putts 16 as well. So he was in a terrible, and he was in trouble on 18 as well. He's very much looking like he's going to finish on 1 under, and there's no way on earth that you can give Scotty Scheffler a 6-shot lead. But all of a sudden, it's changed everything.
3 under par though, Bryson DeChambeau, so a good 4 shots off the lead. Scotty Scheffler going into today's final day with a 1-shot lead. Already has a green jacket. He's proven he can get it done. He's dominant in every area of the game. give it to Scotty already, Ian?
No, it's not all over by any stretch of the imagination. We saw how things can fluctuate so quickly on this Augusta National course. It will be set up for low scoring on the back nine. If that is possible with the greens as quick as they are, they will be as sympathetic as they can be. That means that players can make a charge, they can exert pressure, but what I would say is that he came into this as a very short odds favourite. Those odds have shortened further, and the way that he made his birdie on the late last night, that was the hallmark of someone who is on course to win a second major, to fully justify being the world number one, to fully justify being a short odds favourite. So he is the man to beat by a mile. But there are no guarantees on this golf course. I think it's going to be absolutely absorbing tonight.
Ian, Trish, thank you very much. Find out which way the green jacket goes. We are on from 8 o'clock tonight on 5 Live and on BBC Sounds. And you can follow live text coverage on the BBC Sport website and app.
Thank you, Kat and Ian. Can't wait for that tonight. Massive fan of the Masters, and our coverage on 5 Live is absolutely out of this world. It is brilliant. I love the hushed tones, the description, the drama, the switching from hole to hole. It is the picture painting from our team is absolutely second to none. It is incredible. We are back at the London Stadium. They're still just doing their little half-time warm-ups, the substitutes at the moment, and the ground staff are still out there forking the pitch, which does look immaculate, and most people are still on the concourse having a half-time drink. Floodlights kind of half on here, and we've got sort of hazy blue sky overhead. It might actually be time to put the coat on. Short sleeves in April was optimistic, I think it's fair to say. Jobi McAnuff is with me here. It's West Ham versus Fulham, and Fulham lead by 1-0 thanks to a goal from Pereira fairly early on in this game, and they've missed some other big chances. Muni's header I've just seen back from a corner, which Fabianski knew very little about, and just sort of put a hand down and stopped it on the line. Chances like that, which when you see on a replay, that's almost gone in. So West Ham's still in the game, but the Fulham could be absolutely out of sight, Jobi.
Yeah, that would be the biggest frustration for Marco Silva at half-time, and again, you have to take these opportunities when they come. I think, like you say, the Muniz header was from a corner, probably 4 or 5 yards out, got to try and get it either side of Fabianski, but can't quite direct it there. And then again, just the situations they've got into. Willian has another one where, for me, probably if he takes it first time, it's a better chance. He wants to dip inside, gets a shot off, but again, Fabianski equal to it. They certainly had the clearer opportunities and sights of goals, barring that Mikel Antonio chance. I just want to see West Ham maybe just move the ball a little bit quicker at times. I think when they have done that, they've created some good situations themselves. Fulham actually, on the whole, have defended quite well, for a team that has shit goals away from home. Wingers are getting back in, doubling up on the likes of Kudus and Paquetá, and have kept them relatively quiet.
Players are back out for the second half. Bubble machines going into overdrive, and I'm forever blowing bubbles ringing around the London Stadium for those fans that are in their seats. I reckon it's about half of them at the moment as we're about to get underway for the second half. Just having a glance down to the touchline, doesn't look like we've got any changes at half-time by the looks of it, but David Moyes, I'm sure, will be tempted when it hits that hour mark with the likes of the players he trusts that are on that bench that he's given a rest to, the likes of Thomas Souček, Kurt Zuma, the players he's been relying on all season, Aaron Cresswell perhaps, who were the 3 that he took out of the team that played at Leverkusen. He will be tempted to change it if it stays like this. And we are underway for the second half, and Fulham switch the play over towards Willian, and it's a nice little interception from West Ham. Jobi.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums up a bit of his problem, really, in terms of him wanting to affect the game with substitutes, particularly from an attacking point of view. You're looking on that bench and you're saying, right, who's really going to be able to come on and give us a different dynamic, a different energy.
Iwobi, chance here for Fulham in the penalty area. Muniz with a little back heel, and Fabianski did so well to watch that, because he tried to control the ball, realised he'd missed it, and then just flung a back heel at it and connected pretty well. Fabianski managed to stay watching the ball and went down low to his right hand side. That was a lot more difficult than it looked, I thought, from the goalkeeper. and a great bit of improvisation from Muniz.
Yeah, as you say, just slightly overrun it, didn't have the best first touch, but as it sort of carried on its passage, he just manages to flick out that hill and get a good contact on it. Fabianski, I've got to say, as he has done for most of this game, been really equal to it and reacted really sharply.
So the second half started as the first half finished, really, with Fulham looking like they're going to score every time they come forward. And here is Pereira after another West Ham attack breaks down, and Muniz picks up the ball and does really well to shovel it out to Iwobi on the right hand side. Fulham coming forward in numbers up to the corner of the penalty area for Iwobi, who his touch lets him down. Pereira scurries across. Good challenge from Aguerd for West Ham United, who've got it on the edge of their own penalty area. And here's Ward-Prowse, and you can hear them being roared on now. Bit of frustration, I think, there from the West Ham crowd, who will be nervous. Of course, they've been in Europe for the last 3 years, Jobi, and they'll want to see European football again. And after that defeat in the week, and suddenly defeat here, your whole season in a week looks completely different.
Yeah, and I think in terms of where they are as a football club as well, European football is absolutely massive for West Ham. It's where the fans feel they should be, of course, in terms of the size of the club, but also in terms of attracting players. You know, a lot of those top players want to play European football, and I think if you can offer that, then you've got yourself a really good situation in terms of trying to attract those players to the club.
High clearance from Fulham. Willian wins a challenge on the halfway line. They've won a lot of those duels, Fulham, in the game so far. Kudus has been good for West Ham though, and he's got possession now. Toe pokes it forward towards Antonio, lets it run across his body and tries to play it out to Sofal. He's had a game to forget so far, Antonio, and the ball's out for a throw in to Fulham on the far side, level with their own penalty area on the left hand side. West Ham need to find something. 5 Sports Extra from the BBC, bringing you live commentary. They're back underway on 5 Live as well in the game between Liverpool and Crystal Palace, with Crystal Palace leading by a goal to nil, and Fulham just waiting to take this throw in front of us. 2 away wins all season, opening day against Everton, and then that Manchester United game in February, Fulham. And seemingly really nothing to play for, but a bit of pride at stake, and they have been at it, and that's another brilliant challenge, and Fulham have got possession back. Here comes Iwobi down the right hand side again, and they're flooding forward here. He sliced his ball into the penalty area though. He's frustrated with himself, and West Ham have possession with James Ward-Prowse, and into the feet of Paquetá. He's challenged, no free kick. Oh, he didn't give it. Stuart Atwell, then he realised that Fulham were in, and he decided to blow his whistle right at the last second, and West Ham have a free kick.
Yeah, and there's been 1 or 2 of those situations where he's just given himself a bit of thinking time, I think, Stuart Atwell. Then he blows the whistle. Again, I've got to say, you know, Palhinha in that midfield, Sasa Lukic as well, winning the ball back, but not only just winning it, going to drive and get themselves forward and taking that Fulham team up the pitch have been excellent in there. Again, the word I would use about West Ham defensively is just passive. You know, there was a time when Muniz goes up to him, you've got a 2v1, you know, Mavropanos, Aguerd, one of you has to go and engage, but they don't. They sit off and actually let him get turned. Then all of a sudden they're on the back foot running towards their own goal. They have to get tighter.
Emerson was just feeling his calf there for a moment, might have a little problem. Looks like he's moving all right now though for West Ham in the left back spot. Paquetá chips a little ball over towards Kudus, level with the penalty area. It goes over his head, but he manages to sprint to the touchline and pick the ball up. They've got 2 waiting in the middle here. They can find a cross. Little ball in towards Kudus from Paquetá. He goes down. It looked like he just maybe tripped on the ball or fell over his own feet there. It didn't look like there was an obvious touch from a Fulham defender, and Muniz is being asked to try and hold the ball up on the halfway line. And West Ham come out on top, and there's a West Ham player down injured, and in that somewhere something white flew off Muniz, maybe a bit of strapping or a bit of tape or something, and the West Ham player down is, I can't quite see, and that's 1/4 mile away apparently.
I think it might be Mavropanos.
Mavropanos is down injured, okay.
There was a bit of a doubt coming in today anyway.
I think our commentary position to that far touchline is going to be a 1/4 mile. That's a true apparently. So he's getting some treatment on the pitch at the moment. Still West Ham 0, Fulham 1. I had a choice of headphones to give you today, Jobi, and I thought I can't carry off the Dr. Dre's, so
I'm not sure I can. I've got
you
to be
can,
honest.
you rock them. So I've decided to give you the Dr. Dre beats.
Well, at least you think I'm still cool enough to get away with it. My kids definitely don't, I've got to be honest.
You've been watching your boy this morning, haven't you? Play locally?
Yeah, he's under-8s grassroots team in North London, and yeah, doing great, really loving it. It's been a fantastic experience, really, because a lot of my career was obviously spent around the men's professional game, so actually to go back to that really and see how much work actually goes on in terms of the organisation and the local clubs putting the games on, you know, for kids, and actually the amount of girls teams now as well, which is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, just brilliant to see so many young kids out and about on a Sunday morning playing the best game in the world.
Yeah, I watched my son Evan play yesterday morning. Now the pitches are back in. It's barely had a game this year because of all the rain. And they won 1-0. They're in top league, and they've struggled in top league, but they all put some shift in to win yesterday. And then had his basketball presentation night last night, plays for Plymouth, and he won MVP. There's nothing better than watching your kids play sport. I absolutely love it.
What would he choose, basketball or football?
Oh, that's a really tricky one. Don't make him ask. Don't make him choose. Honestly, he absolutely loves both. But he's 6'1", 14. He's a good size for
NBA's calling.
Well, he loves his basketball. Mavropanos is back on his feet and is waiting to come back on the pitch on the far side, and Fulham are in possession. Midway inside the West Ham half. 5 Sports Extra from the BBC. Massey, Fulham in possession in their own half. Lip of the centre circle with Adrabayo. Massey. Little ball forward into the feet of Willian, former Chelsea and Arsenal midfielder, 35. Went to Corinthians. You think, well, you know, he's gone there to retire, and well, I think he's been super in this game so far. And Fulham fans, a lot of them are saying, you know, he's been one of their standouts this season. Willian still doing it like you were, Jobi, at 35.
Well, not quite at this level, but I was still out there, just about.
Iwobi in possession. To Pereira, Muniz, back to Iwobi, good football, flooding forward, white shirts through the middle. Pereira, the goal scorer, first touch just let him down. If he'd just taken it to the right, he'd have been all right, but he took it back into the path of the defender. Mavropanos, who's back on the pitch and not moving completely freely. Iwobi's got it byline, chops it back across, but it's intercepted by Ings, who's back there defending on the edge of his own penalty area. Ings forces the ball via a deflection out to Sofal on the right, who's in like a semicircle of sunshine on the far side there as some milky sunshine breaks through, and that's the shadow that's been cast by the roof here at the London Stadium. Muniz has done really well to get possession, squares it to Iwobi on his right foot, thought about a shot 25 yards from goal, moves the ball to the right hand side. They're in possession, moving down the right now with Iwobi, back to Castagna. In comes the cross from Pereira, high but headed away only as far as Willian, who with a back heel tries to keep the ball in, but he can't, and it's a throw-in for West Ham United on the right-hand side. Fulham leading 1-0. 54 minutes gone. 5 Sports Extra, and West Ham have not come flying out in the second half as I think their supporters would have liked to see. Fabianski in possession. Arguably been West Ham's best player so far in the game, Fabianski, 38-year-old Pole. It's a nice little turn from Paquetá, running down the left-hand side. Ball down the line, stays in. Emerson. They've stopped West Ham, but it's still very much alive. And Ings' ball through towards Antonio is not the best. He overhit it, and Bernd Leno just came running out. West Ham stopped there, ball was still in.
Yeah, it looked as though part of the ball may have been out, but you don't stop. You know, it's a basic... You know,
play to the whistle.
Exactly, and they do stop, and then it ends up with Ings. Again, we've spoken about him receiving balls in those little pockets, you know, in behind the main striker. He just hasn't quite got that feel, that touch to find those passes that he needs to try and make to Mikel Antonio. Just overhits that straight through to Leno. And again, like you say, it's Fulham really, the team, you know, taking initiative in this second half. And I think that would disappoint West Ham's given what is at stake this season.
West Ham 0, Fulham 1. Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 1. West Ham in possession, win a throw-in deep in the Fulham half, level with their 18-yard box. Paquetá takes the throw in into Ings, who got a knee in the back there. Alvarez has possession for West Ham, midway inside the half. That's a lovely ball from Ward-Prowse to switch the play to Sofal. 2 in the middle, in towards Antonio. Good defending. Oh, he's dropped it, Bernd Leno, right at the feet of Ings. My goodness. He managed to snatch it just before Ings helped it into an empty net.
Yeah, gets really lucky with that, Bernd Leno. And again, a good cross from the right-hand side from Sofal, but it's only Mikel Antonio inside that 18-yard box, and they have to go and get more players in when those crosses are coming into those areas.
That's a horrible mistake at the back from Mavropanos again, and here goes Willian, and now Iwobi! Great save, Fabianski. Low down to his right-hand side on the angle. That might well have been it for West Ham, and their Polish goalkeeper keeps them in the game again.
Oh, that is a top save from Fabianski. Gets down really quickly. It's a brilliant counter-attack after poor play from West Ham again in defensive areas. Give the ball away so sloppy. Willian, who's been brilliant today, drives across the pitch, lays it into Iwobi's path. He has to try and hit that far corner. Doesn't quite get the power, but a brilliant save from Fabianski.
Corner for Fulham. In it comes from Pereira. Headed away by Aguerd. Anthony Robinson will pick it up for Fulham. He's under pressure from Ings, and then Massey's under pressure from Antonio, and back it goes to Bernd Leno. He didn't do a lot wrong, Iwobi. You could argue he's got to find more of the corner with a bit more power, but first time, not the easiest. He's never been a born finisher, has he, Iwobi? You know, he doesn't do a lot wrong. Here come West Ham down the other end with Sofal. 2 in the middle, comes off the shins of a defender. Corner for West Ham. Now it's just picked up a bit.
Yeah, he's really been a good outlet for them, Sofal, in terms of that right hand side, whether it's his delivery, his running power, that he gets into good areas. That time there tries to whiz the ball across that 6-yard box, but it's a good block by that Fulham defender. I think it was Bassi at that front post area, deflects it off for a corner.
Corner for West Ham. West Ham 0, Fulham 1 in the Premier League on 5 Sports Extra. 58 minutes gone. James Ward-Prowse stands over it, one arm in the air, whipped in, near post, misses everyone. How does it go right through the 6-yard box like that along the ground? Fulham clear. West Ham pump it back in. Scrapping for it is Paquetá on the left. Pereira nibbling at his heels. Emerson. West Ham have got it back. Paquetá puts in the cross. Adrabayo clears away. Only as far as Paquetá again, who shovels it back to Aguerd. Now moving forward down the left-hand side, Emerson's got a chance to cross, but checks back inside. Alvarez. Good football from West Ham. Paquetá's got 4 in the middle to aim for. Hits the first defender. Balloons up in the air. Scrapping for it again is Paquetá. It's Alvarez rather this time. And Fulham get possession, and now it's out for a goal kick for Fulham, who did really well there defensively.
Yeah, it's been a real big part of their game today. Alex Iwobi just doubling up, getting himself back, helping out Castagna in those wide areas, making sure that no easy crosses come in, and they haven't really had too much impact, West Ham, down their left-hand side. Any of those crosses have been more from Sofal down the right. But again, good defending there from Fulham to see out a potentially dangerous situation.
So it's a goal kick then for Fulham. We're going to see some substitutions here, and I think it had to happen. Mavropanos is limping as he comes off. He's had an afternoon to forget, Mavropanos. He came off against Leverkusen. He's at fault for the first goal with a heavy touch which went straight into the path of Andreas Pereira to put Fulham 1-0 up. And then Zuma comes on, and they're not boos, they are Zuma. And the number 4 is on for West Ham United. So it's one of those predicted changes for West Ham. I think it had to happen. He was struggling out there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he really was. Again, you don't know how close he was to not playing potentially today. Is that had an impact on that mistake that he made in the first half? This is one thing that sometimes people don't quite see. You know, he probably was struggling, wanted to try and give his all, and unfortunately for him, probably hasn't worked out as the best decision. Obviously, Kurt Zuma coming in now just to come and plug that gap and maybe try and get a little bit more physical with Moniz, because I've got to say he's had a very easy afternoon so far.
Foul. Pereira And the referee reaching for a card, and it's a yellow for Andreas Pereira for a late tackle on Paquetá, and West Ham have a free kick right on the edge of the centre circle inside the Fulham half. He's just a bit late.
I was just about to say that. It's one of those, it just didn't quite get there in time, and he clatters through Paquetá, who's actually still down at the moment.
He wins the ball, doesn't he?
It's a follow through though, isn't it? I think after he's won the ball initially, then momentum takes him through, and he does make contact with Paquetá.
As fans will watch that challenge, Jobi, and you're in the game and we're not. He's won the ball clean, and then as his foot's flicked up after touching the ball, it's connected with the knee of the opposition player. Now, Fulham fans watching that will go, he's won the ball. Ref, he's won the ball. You know, you hear that on Sunday mornings all the time, he's won the ball, ref. What do you think is going on there, though, in terms of the referee's decision making?
I think in that incident there, Pereira does win the ball, he gets there first, but his trailing leg, the follow through is very high, and it's actually in and around Paquetá's knee. So for me, that's where the danger side comes into it. Is he out of control? Is he reckless? The issue of winning the ball isn't actually relevant anymore, actually. You know, if it is still a dangerous tackle and he's not in control of his actions.
Fulham are in possession. Pereira out to Willian on the left hand side. Muniz is in the centre, he's up against Sofal. Willian twisting one way or another, puts in a deep cross towards Jobi, and it's headed behind, safety first. I don't think that was any danger, but he wasn't to know, I don't think, back there, Emerson, so he's put it behind for a corner right in front of the Fulham fans, and Pereira will take his time as he jogs across.
I think it's one of those situations that fullback where you're not quite sure what's in and around you, and it's safety first, really. I think Jobi was threatening just off his shoulder. He wasn't certainly going to take any risks there, and decided that best course of action is to put it behind for a corner kick.
In the Women's FA Cup semi-final, after extra time earlier, it was Tottenham 2, Leicester City 1, and Manchester United approaching half-time, a 2-0 up against Chelsea in the other FA Cup semi-final. In comes the corner for Fulham. It's Duffed. Oh, there's a chance. It's first time half volley. I didn't quite see who struck it. Was it Castagna who struck it? And from this angle for a minute, it looked like it was flying in the top corner, but it went wide, and it's still 1-0 Fulham.
Yeah, I think it might have been Palhinha actually who come in on the end of it. Just doesn't quite get the contact. He's a good run, I've got to say, and very, very easy for him to ghost into a position unmarked, really, and just doesn't get the connection that he needs on it. But a big opportunity. I mean, how many are Fulham going to pass up before it comes back to potentially bite them later in the game?
They have missed so many big chances, Fulham, in the game, and Fabianski's made so many saves. This crowd is beginning to get frustrated. I can hear some voices shouting from in and around us. We've got fans behind us as well as the press here in the press area, and you're just beginning to hear the odd shout. They know how big this is for West Ham United. They trail by a goal to nil. They're 2-0 down after the first leg to Leverkusen, and they feel like the season could almost be over if they lose here, and if they fail to get 6th or 7th. And it's a free kick to Fulham just inside the West Ham half. It was a challenge from Alvarez, and it's going to be a free kick.
Yeah, listen, it wasn't the best challenge, but at least they're getting close, they're getting a bit of contact on those Fulham players, which for large parts of today they definitely haven't got close enough. Is actually Muniz, who pretty much has got through today without a whack or a clump on the back of the head, which, you know, you're centre forward in the Premier League, you have to be expecting that, and at least he now knows for the next 25 minutes or so, you know, there's going to be a bit of contact, and they're going to make it a bit more difficult for him.
Yeah, it was Aguerd. Crystal Palace still lead by 1-0 at Liverpool through Eze. Emerson with the throw in for West Ham United, comes off the leg of Castagna, and West Ham have the throw again midway inside their own half on the right hand side. Here's Paquetá, swings the ball out to the right hand side. Sofal running forward, marauding over the halfway line, finds himself midway inside the Fulham half. So many West Ham players ahead of him, but he has to check and sort of go, where am I playing this ball? Because Fulham have got back into such a good shape without the ball there, and they've now conceded the throw in, Fulham, and West Ham have it on the far side. They've had to go back though to Zuma. West Ham 0, Fulham 1 on 5 Sports Extra from the BBC. Emerson, Antonio with his gloves on, short sleeves, runs into a 50-50 challenge. Header won by James Ward-Prowse. Another 50-50 for Antonio. Loses this one. Pereira with the ball. Goes back to his goalkeeper Leno. Actually, he's gone back to Adebayo, who now goes back to his goalkeeper Leno. And West Ham have put a squeeze on here. This is quite a good press. Massey. Fulham will try and play out of it. Down the left-hand side, Robinson. He's been forced into a longer ball, and Zuma chests it down and then loops a ball forward towards Kudus. And Fulham have got possession again, and now a little pocket of space in the middle of the pitch for Lukic, who runs forward, gives it to Iwobi midway inside the West Ham half, running forward, now out to Castagna on the right hand side, deflected cross over everyone, comes for Willian just outside the penalty area, left hand side, 3 in the box, 4 make that. Pereira on the angle, thinks about a shot, puts in a low cross. Fabianski's there again to smother. It just wasn't anyone making that dart. And now they bowl out West Ham, and maybe they've got a bit of space in behind with Fulham with bodies committed forward. Emerson brings the ball forward. It looks like there's a lot of tired legs in this West Ham side. Here's Antonio, left-hand side again. Just a few yards in from the left-hand touchline. Centre field now Paquetá. Nice little turn from Paquetá. 25 yards out. Maybe a chance for Danny Ings. Tries to chop it onto his right foot. His challenge. Corner for West Ham.
Yeah, he has to hit that with his left foot. Danny Ings. Paquetá does brilliantly to pick him out. Little pirouette. Fantastic feet and vision. Again, to find that, threads it into Danny Ings just inside the 18-yard box. It looked to me as though if he takes a touch with his left or gets it off with his left foot, he will be able to get a shot in. Tries to chop back onto his right, then that opportunity is gone.
Corner's going to be taken by James Ward-Prowse. Left arm in the air, in it comes, high to the far post, right footed. West Ham win the header. Oh, cleared away, only as far as Kudus on the edge of the area. Lovely little Cruyff turn. Kudus still on his right foot now, wants it on his left. Can't get a cross in, still running with it Kudus, but away towards the corner flag. Sofal lifts it back in, bounces, shot from Ings over the bar, leaning back, half volley, goal kick Fulham.
Yeah, just wouldn't open up for Kudus there. He does brilliantly, lovely little chop, pushes the ball, think he's going to get a shot on his right foot, but it just closes up and he takes another touch, then runs out of space. Does really well to recycle the ball to Sofal. Again, ball comes whizzing across the box. They don't quite get the contact, and then a shot from Danny Ings, which is very wayward.
Ben Johnson replaces Sofal. That'll be to do with legs, and one of the changes that we thought might happen, Souček comes on for James Ward-Prowse, who's played a lot of football. James Ward-Prowse. So Souček is trying to give James Ward-Prowse a bit of a rest. He knows he'll want to play him against Leverkusen here on Thursday. So he's thinking about his players' legs as well as the position of the game. Ideally, he wouldn't want to bring James Ward-Prowse off, but he is thinking about Leverkusen there maybe. Jobi, what do you think?
Well, he has to be, because the 2 changes I wouldn't have made, if I'm being honest, because that delivery from James Ward-Prowse has been absolutely sensational, as it usually is. And again, in terms of an outlet for West Ham, Sofal's been exactly that on that right hand side. Good delivery into the box. Certainly doesn't look leggy of all the players to me, and sometimes you've got sports scientists in your ears these days telling you who's in the red zone, who do we need to be careful of. But I'd go with a player, give him a shout. How are you feeling? Can you get through the next 20 minutes for me? We need something out of this game.
I think that is absolutely spot on, and it's part of the modern game that he will have someone saying, if he plays these many minutes in this red zone, all of this could get injured. So much to think about. Here's Antonio, who's maybe one of those players who is in the red zone at 34. Plays the ball into the penalty area, but it's overhit with his left foot and goes all the way through to Iwobi, but Alvarez wins it back, and now Zuma brings the ball forward through the centre circle, gets it out to Johnson, who runs with the ball down the right hand side, just come on, overruns the ball and goes through and onto the red grass around the pitch, or the maroon grass, and it's out for a goal kick for Fulham. We've got 20 minutes plus added time to go. West Ham 0, Fulham 1. Andreas Pereira with the goal in the first half. They've had so many chances, Fulham. West Ham have had 2 or 3 really good opportunities as well. Can't believe there's only 1 goal in this game thus far. A lot of that's down to Lucas Fabianski, who's in possession right now. Fulham trying to win only an 8th Premier League London derby, and only their 3rd away game of the season. Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 1 is still a later scoreline from Anfield, and that game's over on BBC Radio 5 Live with Ian Dennis. And this is Paquetá after a lovely ball from Kudus. Here he is, Paquetá puts in an early cross, headed away by Massey. They've put a lot of crosses in from deep, West Ham, and nothing's really worked for them. Here's Paquetá in the number 10 position, stands on the ball, switches it onto his right foot. 2 Fulham players round him. Lovely little bit of skill. Was he fouled? No, says the referee. And now Fulham might break over the halfway line with Pereira. And now Muniz, he's got Iwobi on the outside of him. He's just slightly overhit it. But Fulham in the penalty area with Iwobi. Low cross, Pereira, 2-0. Fulham might well have wrapped this up here. Andreas Pereira at the double, and it would be a famous Premier League London derby win for Fulham, and West Ham's hopes of European football fade by the day. West Ham 0, Fulham 2.
Yeah, devastating counter-attack from Fulham. Paquetá gives the ball away. Then they win it back, Fulham, and then break. Muniz does fantastically well, carries the ball. Then it's about picking the right options. He sticks it out to Iwobi in the right wing. They were 3v2. It's almost like a training ground move, really. It's then picking the next pass, which he slides across the penalty area. Pereira, who carried on his run, cannot miss. 3-4 yards out, just slides it into the bottom corner. Very slick move. I've got to say, nothing less than they deserve, given the amount of chances they've created today.
And some of the West Ham United fans are leaving, and there's a white flare on the edge of the pitch, and it's billowing white smoke, and those Fulham fans are on their feet. This is something to remember for them. I thought there might be a check on the goal. I thought maybe if Pereira was ahead of Iwobi, they will be checking it. You've just seen the replay, Jobi.
Oh, tight, very tight. I'm with you. I thought on the initial one he might potentially have gone early. The fact that he's by himself, I think, makes you feel like he is offside because he's so far advanced at that time. But I think it was very, very tight. Maybe he just about gets it right, and he runs in unmarked just to slot into an empty net.
Check complete. Goal stands, and the assister and the goal scorer have just gone off. So Pereira, Andy Iwobi, Marco Silva, big hug for Pereira, and boy did he deserve it. Man of the match by an absolute country mile.
Oh, he's been absolutely brilliant, I've got to say. Willian also, but just in terms of the positions he's found himself in, he's just so difficult to pick up. 1 minute he's in that little pocket, then he'll make the run in behind that back line, and that's how he gets himself free, because he's always on the move, never static. And he's, again, for me today, shown himself a real cut above everyone else on the football pitch.
Bobby D. Cordova-Reid is on, along with Harry Wilson, making his 100th appearance for Fulham today, as a deep cross goes in from Kudus, and it's straight into the arms of Bernd Leno, who falls on the ball gratefully, all in blue, and then hops to his feet. 16 minutes for West Ham to find the most unlikely, it has to say at the moment, of comebacks.
Yeah, and you've just mentioned 2 substitutions there in terms of what Marco Silva's got in his armoury and his ability to change things up in attacking areas. David Moyes just hasn't got that on the bench, you know, in terms of what he's able to bring on the pitch.
Fulham coming forward again in the penalty area with an effort. Here's Muniz, shot deflected, dribbles wide. Fabianski keeps the ball in, stops it from going for a corner, and Antonio will run the ball out of defence down the left hand side. Challenge goes in from Harry Wilson, and it's out for a throw in to West Ham on the left, but that could have been 3-0 easily.
Yeah, another big opportunity. They work the ball. Willian this time getting on it, ball gets pulled back. Palhinha actually miskicks it, falls to Muniz just on that penalty spot, doesn't quite get the contact that he wants on the ball, but at this moment in time, Fulham looking like they're the ones who go and add to their lead rather than West Ham getting back into it. And going back to that first chance for Mikel Antonio, we spoke about maybe a bit of tiredness, legs. When you're having to chase a game and you do feel that little bit of extra fatigue, that's when it really does become difficult, rather than getting that goal and being able to maybe protect it a little bit more and really see it phases the game out.
Here come West Ham. Can they produce a famous comeback here? I mean, you can't say that Fulham aren't good for their 2-goal lead. Their XG's almost 3. They've had 14 efforts at goal, 9 on target. So Fabianski's made 9 saves in the game so far. And West Ham are in possession with Alvarez. It's a strong challenge from De Cordova-Reid. Little reverse pass, Ings, first time ball to Johnson, swings it in. It's headed away. They've found that so easy, that deep cross that's come in all day from West Ham. Here's Emerson for West Ham. Nice little 1-2. Will something break for West Ham here? No, Fulham are defended well again. Clear the ball away. They're sitting very deep though at the moment, Fulham. And West Ham have the possession with Zuma and then Alvarez. And now into the feet of Paquetá. He's got Antonio on the outside of him. Tries to go with a little cute pass through the legs, and it's broken up. And now Harry Wilson knocks the ball out of his feet, sprints down the right, finds an early ball to Muniz, 30 yards from goal, finds Willian, edge of the D, chops onto his right foot. Here's De Cordova-Reid, big chances here for Fulham again. They've got the ball in the penalty area. Willian's shot is deflected and charged down by Alvarez, and the ball is still in play, and West Ham will bring it away. Jobi McAnuff.
How much time are West Ham given Fulham there, just in and around their box to just do what they want, really. I've got to say, no one's getting tight enough, no urgency to go and press and get a tackle in, and in the end Fulham just doing exactly what they want to do with the ball when they want to do it, and I just feel it's just really disappointing from West Ham today. They just haven't defended those situations anywhere near well enough, and like you say, from an attacking point of view, they haven't really carried enough threat. It's been hopeful crosses at times that Fulham backline have defended relatively comfortably all afternoon.
West Ham, after a European away game, this would be 5 games and no wins. I don't think that'll be a coincidence, as they're in possession right now, and Antonio, it's deflected off a Fulham player. It's not a coincidence, that, is it?
No, it's not. There's so much to factor in. Obviously the extra game itself, but also the travelling and the nature of the game, particularly the last one, without the ball for large periods of that game. So the physical output is absolutely huge as well. And again, when the squad is as thin as it is, and that's nothing to do with David Moyes. He's got people above him that are telling him who he's got to keep, who he's got to sell, who he can bring in or not. And I think you're seeing the signs now of a depleted squad, and one that just doesn't have enough depth when it gets stretched.
West Ham in possession with Johnson trying to just make something happen, running through, trying to thread a pass, comes off the legs of a Fulham player and goes to Emerson. The Claret and Blue have it with Antonio, who he's keeping going, Antonio, but he's taking kick after kick after kick in this attack, and eventually he does get the free kick. He must be absolutely shattered, Antonio.
Yeah, and he has looked it today, I've got to say. I think one of those players who does look like he's feeling the effects of what was a tough night's work in the week, but also, again, just in terms of West Ham and the way they play, he's a bit isolated at times. I don't think he's had the right players around him, in terms of it being Danny Ings to start the game in that sort of number 10 position to really get the best out of him. And it's been a long afternoon for Mikel Antonio.
In comes the ball from Emerson from West Ham. They need to find something soon. 10 minutes plus added time remaining. Can Kudus keep this in? He can. He's done really well, the Ghanaian here. Kudus. Back with you at the London Stadium after a short power outage, and Fulham are in possession in the centre circle. Ball played forward towards Wilson. Fulham leading by 2-0. On the corner of the penalty area. Tries a little left foot toe poke inside. That's a foul. And it's going to be a yellow card here for Bobby De Cordova-Reid just 5 minutes after coming on as a substitute. And it's a free kick to West Ham, deep in their own half. Fulham 2-0, 9 minutes plus added time left.
I think that's another one that comes into that category of gets a bit of the ball there, De Cordova-Reid, but certainly his follow through takes out the West Ham player. But again, he was the one that was first to it. He reacted quickest, looked a little bit sharper, and I think that's been a real big part of today's game and why we are at the result we are at this moment in time.
And you're absolutely right about Mikel Antonio. He has just come off and was standing right by halfway, on the halfway line, and looks so ready to come off there. And he's been replaced by George Earthy, the 19-year-old Englishman, who is on the pitch and gets his first touch. And it's a lovely little first touch as well too. This is his Premier League debut. So that is where David Moyes has got to. Here's Kudus, green boots, in possession, nice play, fires in a shot, dragged it wide of Leno's left-hand post. Leno makes the dive and then withdraws his arm, knows it's going wide. Goal kick, Fulham.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, he's had a bit of a go today, Kudus. I think one of those attacking players that has shown little glimpses for sure. Probably haven't got him on the ball as enough as he would have liked, but every time he has got it, he has looked to threat. He's tried to make things happen. That time there, just gets on the ball, shifts it out of his feet, just outside the penalty area, drags his shot wide of the far post. But again, I think from his point of view, West Ham need to get him on the ball more and in more dangerous positions, because he certainly has shown time and time again that he can go and make things happen.
Yeah, George Earthy, by the way, apparently a real talent, and made his debut in the Europa League in a 5-0 win over Freiburg a month ago, and has been in the squad quite a few times, and he's got 10 minutes to go and show what he can do and have a go, and he'll remember this forever. This, you know, even though he's come on during a 2-0, I mean, he's got a shot to nothing here, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I think from the West Ham fans' point of view, it's given them a little bit of lift. They haven't had too much to cheer about today, but actually seeing a young homegrown product is exactly what West Ham United fans really love. You know, brilliant history of developing young players, and they'll be hoping he's the next on the line through.
Well, he's done really well there. He found a little pocket, the number 40. In comes a low cross from the right for Johnson, and yeah, he's just helped create something for West Ham. They have a corner on the far side.
Yeah, and it's a great situation, as you say, not ideal from the club's perspective, but for a young player coming on, you know, first few steps in the professional game, you do go out there with that bit of freedom, and you know, you want to go and prove to your manager that you should be getting more minutes and you are good enough to play at the level. And in his first few touches, he certainly has looked really bright so far.
Used his right and left foot. In comes Kudus' corner. He can't beat the man at the near post, and you can hear how frustrated football fans get about that one. Here's Kudus again, though. He's got another chance. There are 6 in the penalty area. Can West Ham find a cross? Everyone back for Fulham. In it comes. Fulham are so deep, but have managed to head that clear. Alvarez running in. They've managed to come up with possession with Aguero of all people. And now, I think there's a head injury here, and I think it might be Souček, and I think he looks, is it? You pick up, Jobi. You saw it, I didn't.
Yeah, it's a real horrible coming together there. It's the young boy George Earthy actually gets a real whack from his own player. Looked as though he just lost, I say consciousness, but he looked like he's like knocked out completely there as he hit the deck. He did react immediately after. I did see a little bit of movement, hopefully. So again, hoping there is a bit of movement there.
He did try and sit up.
Yeah.
But when he first went down, he's had a proper whack to the head here. They're all watching the replays in the West Ham dugout at the moment. He went down and his arm sort of slowly fell by his side and he was on his back. And then after maybe 5 seconds, he's tried to sit up and has been told to lie straight back down again by one of the West Ham players. And then the physios arrived and the doctors out on the pitch, and they've brought on the golf cart with the stretcher on it, I'm afraid. And this will be not the Premier League debut that George Earthy would have wanted. Oh, such a shame for him.
Yeah, horrible, real horrible incident. Again, you can see sometimes when a player goes down and is completely out, you know, and that was certainly the case, but there has been hopefully a positive little reaction to that. It's such again, you know, first and foremost, we really do hope that he's absolutely okay. But he did look so bright, didn't he? Come on and got himself on the ball and got himself in the game. And it's a real innocuous challenge, one of his own players actually that knocks into him, completely unawares of that contact. And sometimes when you're not expecting that contact, that's when it can really, you know, take your breath away, and it certainly looked to do that.
Oh, did you get many of those as a player? Bangs to the head?
Yeah, get a fair few, and I think again in the game now, in terms of the concussion protocols, there's so much work to be done, because I still don't think we're as far down the road as we should be with them. There's obviously always that desire as a player to want to either carry on in this instance maybe, or play the next game where maybe you shouldn't do, and I think it's something that we really need to get across and get some real good processes in place to make sure that we try and reduce that risk.
A lot of ex-pros I speak to say they've 100% had games where they've said I'm all right, and they've carried on, and sometimes can't even remember the end of the game or that evening. Have you ever had anything like that?
Not in a game. I had it in training a couple of times, and then you sort of feel, right, I'll be fine. It's just a bang to the head. I'll be fine on, a week's time or whatever. Yeah, obviously we had concussion protocols in terms of return to play. So
they weren't what they are now, though, were they?
No, not at all. And it's sort of, you do a couple of days of just light activity, and then I felt absolutely fine. Went out to do a jog. This is probably a week after, and my head literally, my brain felt like it was just rattling, and I felt okay up till that point, and it's the minute you start doing that extra physical activity that you really do feel it. So there's a big danger, certainly, that we need to make sure that we are very much across and limit, what potentially could happen, in the future.
That feeling of you can really feel the pulse in your head, and you're very aware that you've got a immediate sort of headache as well, he's still down getting treatment, I'm afraid to say, George Earthy here. You've got 5 Sports Extra from the BBC. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of stoppage time here. The Fulham fans, you can hear singing away in the background. And they are turning to the Fulham fans that are behind them, and they're having a good sing-song, and the West Ham fans don't like it because they don't think it's appropriate with a young 19-year-old down on the floor. But they're singing because Fulham are 2-0 up. And this means a lot to those supporters down there. So he's still getting treatment. They're just making sure that he's properly braced with his neck and everything, and they're talking to him at the moment, and everyone's down there and around him at the moment, and the golf cart is still there, and the stretcher's just being placed down next to him now on the ground, and I don't really know what else to say about it. Poor old George. Elsewhere in the Premier League, it's still Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 1. Is this the day that Liverpool's title challenge ended, and their European challenge as well? Still being booed for singing, the Fulham fans down here in front of us. Eze it was with the goal for Crystal Palace after 14 minutes. So this is how it would leave the league table. It would leave Liverpool in third on 71 points, 2 points behind Manchester City, and they played the same amount of games. And then Arsenal, of course, still to play at 4:30 today, and they, with 31 points, are on 71. So there's some applause here because George Earthy is up and onto the stretcher and up onto the golf cart, and you've just got to hope that this is more precautionary than it is serious, I guess.
Yeah, they've taken every measure possible, taken, of course, the right amount of time. It doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as he gets the correct treatment, making sure that, he is as well looked after as possible. Just want to see if he's able to acknowledge anyone as he comes off the pitch now.
Yeah, the golf buggy's just very steadily making its way off the pitch now. I think he's actually got a breathing mask being held over his face. He's just getting a little bit of oxygen, I think, there, just to help him along as he goes off. So we're thinking of George's family and his friends at the moment, and George himself, and just hoping that he's all right. 3 minutes into your Premier League debut, and that happens. So we'll all be checking in on George over the next 24 hours and hoping that he's all right. It's the best place it can happen to get a bang on the head, a football pitch, because you've got a million doctors and staff and everyone here. It's like I was there when Tom Lockyer had his heart attack on the pitch at Bournemouth, and thank God he had it there, and not somewhere else on his own in the bathroom or whatever, you know.
Yeah, and that's one thing about, we've spoken already about concussion protocols and physios and doctors, all the medical staff now. They're so far advanced and well versed in how to deal with these situations. So as you say, he's absolutely, you never want to see it happen, but he's in exactly the right place in terms of getting that instant care and really good response from everyone down there.
Yeah, they were excellent. And we've got 11 minutes, as you'd understand, of stoppage time, and we've played 1 minute of it, and that's a free kick for Fulham, a foul on Castagna, 10 yards inside his own half on the right hand side. Pereira with both goals. Fulham lead by 2-0, and Maxwell Cornet has come on for George Earthy. I think if ever you needed an illustration that David Moyes perhaps doesn't really fancy Maxwell Cornet, is that he's just brought a young man on for his debut at 19 rather than Cornet in this game, as the ball's hooked clear by West Ham, but only as far as Bobby De Cordova-Reid, who's in possession 10 yards inside the West Ham half, feeds it out onto the left. Fulham just happy to keep possession now. West Ham have got the time, they've got 9 minutes. If they find one, this place, the fans that are left, and let me tell you, it's half the fans are left inside the ground, it will give them a shout, but it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like West Ham are going to get back into it at the moment, you have to say. It's an extraordinary amount of fans to leave early at 2-0 with 10 minutes to go, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, it's something that there's been a bit of criticism of those fans at times this season, and some of the scenes previously where they've left the ground really early on in the game. But like you say, for me it doesn't feel as though, if I'm a West Ham fan sitting here today, that the team is going to get him back into the game. They're showing real lack of urgency, lack of creativity in the final third today, and feels as though we could be here all day and they wouldn't score. It's that kind of feeling right about now, and I just feel that those West Ham fans are feeling it's on to the next one, dust themselves down and try and hope for a better performance next time out.
Leverkusen on Thursday, do you give them any hope in that one?
Not from what I've seen today, but also the last game where they were so dominant, and listen, they held out until really late in the game. Actually, the 2 goals really disappointing from set piece situations, given all the opportunities and possession that Leverkusen had, but they look a real proper outfit, I've got to say, and they just haven't quite been at it today, West Ham.
They've won a corner though, and they've taken it out on the far side, and everyone's in the penalty area for West Ham apart from Fabianski at the moment. Here's Kudus, he puts in a cross, left-footed, plenty of bodies in there. Paquetá, cushion header, only as far, can't reach the other West Ham player it was intended for, and Leno comes out and falls on the ball, and he'll waste a little bit more time, and we've got 7 minutes of added time to go. West Ham 0, Fulham 2 on 5 Sports Extra from the BBC.
Yeah, I think that situation just summed West Ham up a little bit today. It's a ball into the box. It was a hopeful one. Paquetá doesn't really head it towards goal, doesn't really flick it on. It almost just hits his head, and then there's no West Ham player reacting. Whereas from a Fulham perspective, every time they've got the ball in the box or got it into wide areas, they've had 1, 2, 3 players breaking into the box. Pereira, who we've spoken about so much today, invariably being that one who makes the extra body when they go and get into those areas. Just haven't seen that from West Ham today.
Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 1 is still a latest score, and there's 3.5 minutes of 7 added minutes to go. Harvey Elliott's come on, Jota, who's back fit, Gakpo, Trent at half-time, Slobberslai at half-time as well, as the ball's played high by West Ham, and Massey wins a comfortable header. Every time the ball really has gone in the air today from those deep positions from West Ham, Fulham have looked so comfortable, Adebayo and Massey at dealing with it, haven't they? But they just keep crossing it from deep positions. Now they're in possession here with Paquetá. Now Souček tries to take it round this man and has it taken off him, and Fulham might well break here with Harry Wilson on halfway. Ball played forward towards Muniz, who tries to hold it up. He's had a couple of sighters today, Muniz, to add to his 8 goals, and that's a late challenge from Alvarez. And the referee, with 3 blasts on his whistle, will be having a chat here with Edson Alvarez.
I do believe it was Paquetá, actually.
Was it Paquetá?
It was a wild swing, I've got to say. It wasn't a very clever challenge. I think it's bordering on because it was so wild. You know, I don't think he's ever going to really do loads of damage.
Ooh,
but there's no attempt whatsoever to get the ball. It is just a real swipe at the legs there from Paquetá.
Yeah, that was naughty, wasn't it, actually? Paquetá felt he got a little elbow in the face, bit of frustration. Ball was gone, and he's just cleaned him out with the ball. I mean, the ball had gone so far.
He's done well
so
for him
long
there, Palhinha, because he hasn't made a real meal of it. I mean, if he had done, I think he could be in a bit more trouble than he was.
Well, it's one of those, because he's made no attempt to play the ball whatsoever. Yeah, he might well have got... if a red card had come out there, you'd struggle to argue with it, really. It looks even worse the more you watch it back, actually.
Such a silly challenge, isn't it? Like, and again, for him to have got away with that, you know, very, very fortunate, I think. And a lot of it was actually Lukic who he caught in that midfield next to Palhinha, and he does really well. He just sort of goes down, but he doesn't make too much of it. If he's rolling around a bit, I think they might have had another look at it.
Yeah, Palhinha's coming off now. Given a rest. And Harrison Reed scurries onto the pitch. Marco Silva will be absolutely delighted. Of course, Marco Silva, many West Ham fans are already sort of courting him to be maybe their next manager, and we still don't know what's going to happen with David Moyes when his contract ends in the next 2 and a bit months.
No, and listen, I'm one that, with Moyes in a job already, it's never nice speculating about a manager's position, but for me, is Marco Silva a good fit for this football club? Yes, absolutely. You know, plenty of Premier League experience. His teams always play a real nice brand of football, as we've seen today, and with this Fulham team in general, did a brilliant job of getting them up in the first place, and really has kicked them on, you know, into another level. And talk about Willian and the impact he's had, you know, how he utilises him, built a real good team and a good squad as well.
Free kick for West Ham, pumped long. 2.5 minutes of added time remaining of the 11. Fulham leading by 2-0 on 5 Sports Extra. Liverpool 0, Palace 1 is still a latest scoreline in the last minute of added time there. And the ball's back with Fabianski, who's been excellent today for West Ham, which just shows you Fulham could have won 4-5 here today. The one criticism you'd make, Marco Silva will have him in and say you need to be more ruthless, you need to be more clinical. There's a long ball forward from Zuma towards Cornet. Can't bring it down. Fulham have comfortable possession at the back. That's the one criticism Marco Silva's probably making.
Yeah,
be more clinical.
Yeah, they've got away with it today because West Ham really haven't shown enough in forward areas, but against a team with a little bit more in attack, they could have given themselves a bit more of a problem.
Dehord over Reed with a shot, another save from Fabianski. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the most saves by a goalkeeper in the Premier League this season when they do all the stats. A lot of them have been comfortable like that one. I mean, it was routine, but a lot of saves.
Yeah, they have been comfortable, but I think it's the ease at which Fulham have been able to get those shots off, which would be a real concern to David Moyes, particularly with what they've got to come, you know, against Leverkusen, who will create opportunities, and they will and have got players that can hurt you.
Crossfield ball to Cornet. Across comes the Fulham defender and lets that roll out for a goal kick. And we're past the 100-minute mark. And we've got about 40 seconds of added time remaining. And Liverpool have lost to Crystal Palace. Could that be it? Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 1. Eze with the goal for Crystal Palace in the first half on 14 minutes. That is a big blow, Jobi McAnuff, for Liverpool supporters.
Yeah, real terrible defeat there in terms of their ambitions, and if they've got any hope, you know, again, I look around at the other team, I just cannot see them dropping many points between now and the end of the season. And I think it was a big blow not to beat Manchester United, you know, even the Manchester City game, you know, try and take points off of them, opportunities to win, didn't take them. And again today, without having seen the game, you know, but to lose 1-0 against Crystal Palace, a real poor result.
I think we're about to hear the final whistle here as Zuma switches the play. We're past the 11 minutes of added time now. They come forward down the right again, West Ham, with Ben Johnson. I'd say there's 20% of the home support left in the stadium. Here's Emerson on the left. Paquetá picks up possession. This should be it. As soon as Harrison Reed launches this down the line, they're going to let play go on. Up towards Muniz, who chests it down. They just look to work this to the corner, I think. And his challenge goes in from Aguerd, and it's going to be a throw in to Fulham midway inside the West Ham half on the right-hand side. And the referee, Stuart Atwell's going by the book here.
Yeah, well,
to the added time.
I think you're being kind with 20% left in as well, John. It seems a few less than that, clearly.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I suppose I'm taking the Fulham fans into account as well there, that the home support still packed, they're all standing. It's been a great day for them, these Fulham fans, who don't get bragging rights in the office on a Monday morning very often, do they?
No, and I think, again, away from home where he might be disappointed in terms of not taking more chances, a clean sheet, looking really solid defensively would be the biggest positive to take.
Well, there goes the final whistle. And the fans that are left inside the London Stadium let the players and the staff know what they thought of that performance. They lose 2-0, but what an afternoon for Fulham Football Club. Only their 8th win in 80 Premier League London derbies. It's the first time they've won at the London Stadium. It's only the second time they've won in the last 25 years at West Ham United, and this will live long in the memory for these Fulham fans that have stayed behind to applaud their side, who could have won by more. They were absolutely terrific all over the pitch. Pereira especially with the 2 goals, both lovely finishes. He was excellent in the game, so were Fulham. Richly deserved Jobi McAnuff.
Yeah, an absolute complete team performance for me. Yes, you have to highlight Pereira, 2 goals and ran the show from an offensive point of view, but I felt that the whole back line was compact and solid and organised. The 2 in front, Palhinha and Lukic, really give those attacking players a platform to go and play and create the amount of opportunities that they did. There's only one team worthy of the 3 points today, and that absolutely was Fulham.
Enjoyed that, Jobi. Safe journey home.
Nice one. Great day.
Thank you very much for being with us here on 5 Sports Extra, bringing you Premier League football. Don't forget, the live sport doesn't stop there. We've got an absolute treat for you all across the board, whatever sport you are into. So over on 5 Live, we have the Arsenal game against Aston Villa on the way for you, live with the team there. We have got live cricket, of course, through the day here on 5 Sports Extra. We've got the Masters tonight. The team, Mark Chapman, John Murray, Alistair Bruce Ball, will be with you live from Augusta.